Everyone, welcome to the Sketch Zone podcast. I'm Carlos Gomez, and with us this week, we are talking to someone. We're going to continue to follow this Star Wars theme that we've been going. Last week, we had a concept artist for Return of the Jedi and all that good stuff. And this week, we're going to be talking to someone that a lot of us call Yoda. That, my friends, is Chris Tedin. No sound effects. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you much. Thanks for having me on. Finally. Staying awake this time. I'm not the old geezer that falls asleep at 8 o'clock and forgets to set his alarm for the Sketch Zone. Well, I'm not the only one that slept through a Sketch Zone.
It happens. Charlie and I have to wake Jack up from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Speaking of Jack, where is he? Late night animating horses and dragons.
Jack, now that we're on the topic, Jack, I'm starting to realize that Jack is somewhat of the hungry for drama, would you say, Charlie?
Hungry for drama. Funny.
If it's not enough that Northern California was on fire. Later we find out Jack wasn't feeling so good. Later we find out he's in the ER. And now, like, legit, his neighborhood was on fire. Like, there's a lot of his neighbors that don't have a house anymore.
I think he's just like, what's Carlos doing this week? Yeah, I gotta like write down what he's doing, and I'm gonna like do exactly what he does because he's my guru. His yard's on fire. I'm gonna have my yard on fire too.
I know. I was like, well, we're evacuating.
Yeah.
Jack is like, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll show him evacuating.
Hold my beer. No way. I'm pouring it on my furniture to keep it from combusting. He's a paid.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, Charlie B. Williams III.
What's up, Sketch Zone? It's here. We're doing good. Getting the Twitch up and running. Happy. Getting closer to the holidays.
That's right.
Some rest. So
welcome, Twitch family, as well as the YouTube family. And if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, actually, if you want to ask anyone on the panel any question, we're here. So interact with us.
Yeah, we'll get you back up there. But YouTube, go ahead and talk to us. Twitch, we're having some technical difficulties. We'll get it up. We'll get it in there. We'll be fine.
Meanwhile, if you're not watching live, you can go ahead and use the Sketch Zone hotline. That's 408-753-8248. It's 408-SKETCH-8. Operators are standing by.
I'm gonna call that one in right now. Hold on.
Chris is going to message himself. 408-753-8248.
I'll call later. The lines are already busy.
Lines are, yeah.
It's busy. It's a busy thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Twitch just sent me a message that Sketch Zone just went live.
Yeah. Twitch want to act like they want to go live and then say I need to reauthorize. So it's working now. Hey, Twitch.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Hi, Twitch.
Welcome.
And as always, we start every episode with a wrap-up of the fun prompt. Last week, my friends, we did in a rough part of town, a particularly unusual shop has opened. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we can take a look at what the nation has built.
A pop-up, as it were. Nice.
So there you go. That's that. Nope, I think we're going the wrong way. There's Frank.
Pompous professors.
There we go.
So this is Dare 1127. I like that Dare is he's a regular contributor now. I like that.
Yeah, he's in here. He's there.
How dare you?
Don't ever do that again.
Oh, look. Dave Atsy is about a week late, but no judging.
He's been slipping a little bit, but we ain't gonna say anything.
Did you guys know he likes turtles?
Turtles.
I like turtles.
All right, let's see. We got Tony Cartoonish, which is I really like this one.
That's a good.
He said that
very nice,
he
yeah.
said that he was a little bit rushed. I was a little bit rushed too this week, not gonna lie. But yeah, Tony's work is stellar. If you guys check out his Instagram, instagram.com/Tony Cartoonish.
Nice line weight.
Yep. Oh, here we go. My hero,
There he is.
Shiloh illustration.
Very nice.
Yeah, elephant's butterfly cakes. I just love. Look at down here. He's got the little depth of field action happening. He's got little. He always has little characters doing things. So right here on the ground, there's a little creature running around with another cupcake. He's got some stuff happening on the roofs up there.
Yeah,
Just
nice
so.
stuff there.
Did you do the lumberjack with like a big ball with tiny feet?
Yeah,
the shot lumberjack.
yeah.
That was a really nice piece. Yeah. Oh, I
Shiloh
can't.
is amazing, man.
Joe does
It's hard to
good work.
compete with that.
What's in work there, man? I like him.
Very solid.
We got Bad Art Corner. Looks like there's a tattoo shop, a bar, and this guy is taking his little girl to dance class, which makes you wonder.
It's kind of funny because actually, I kid you not, there's a dance school right between my friend and our place, and like it's really two bars with a dance club in between. Like, all these people lining up. They line up literally in front of my condo. I could turn my thing around, but it's dark now. But cars would be lined up, waiting to pick up their girls in tutus. It's pretty funny. Yeah, we walked by there with cases of beer.
Bare Brains. This is hilarious because it's a land of sandpaper, and the new shop is called Baby Butt Castle.
Like the mom covering
I would
the
love to
shielding guys.
I'd love to take a little bit of vacation time and go on a trip into Bare Brain's brain, because his work is just, it's always super clever and just not anything normal, not even close to normal.
Right? It's just like super creative.
Everything he does is just so hilarious. Good job, Bare Brains.
Nice work.
This is me rushing. So I went to LA this weekend, and this is kind of like a little bit of a what would you call it, a biography or whatever. I went to Stater Brothers down there, and when I came out, there was just this little baggie of cocaine like right outside my car.
Nice.
And I'm like,
Drop
come
off.
on.
He's being modest, by the way. He's actually a volunteer firefighter. He's out there trying to put up the fire on Jack's house.
Yeah. Set fire to Jack's house. No kidding. Yeah, so anyway, that happened. And then it's funny because I didn't know what to draw, and I was in a hurry because it got to be Thursday and I hadn't done it yet. So this morning I jumped up and I started scribbling, and when I took a picture of the Coke bag, I had Shiloh had written on Instagram, and he's like, "What are you trying to do? Research for this week's fun prompt?" And I was like, "That's my picture." So I drew that, and then there's the crack shack in the back. Yeah, so that's the schedule and fun prompt for last week, which brings us to fun prompt this week. So as always, I have the official fun prompt cards here. I'm going to shuffle them. I'm going to ask Mr. Tedin.
I'm proud of you, by the way, that Crack Shack didn't have a double entendre and there was something else going on.
A little hooker in the back, yeah.
Well, or a refrigerator repairman.
That's true.
Plumber.
Selling plumbers.
Yeah.
on the black market. All right, so I have them laid out. Chris, if you will, please pick a number between 1 and 5.
Oh, gotta pick my favorite number 3.
3.
Nice.
Which is an environment.
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
Oh,
love it.
Here we go. All right, an environment.
We keep getting environments.
I'm actually writing a class on environment design.
All right, so I have Jack is on the chat, and he says, "Hi, Chris. I still have a phone. I'll have to participate via comments. LTE is lagging."
Tell them to call in and just use the audio. Or just tell them to call Jack. Call in the Sketchstone hotline.
Yeah, whatever. 87462
voicemails.
Oh, snap. Environment again. Yeah. I wonder how much of a delay it would be. Hey, yeah, Jack, give me a call. I'll put you on speakerphone.
Sorry about that.
See if that works.
Probably work.
All good.
Let's go ahead and push this so we can see
All
Jack's
good.
comments.
All right. So the rules are we draw the first one. If we like it, we draw it. Otherwise, we refresh. And if whether or not we like it, it doesn't matter. We have to draw it. All right.
I got it.
Does that go live? I will. Jack is asking if it'll be. If you call my phone, you'll be on speakerphone. So yeah, it'll be as live as it needs to be.
Yeah. They can see your comments on the screen right now too. So you're kind of here.
But yeah, I don't know if we can. I don't know if we ever figured out how to get calls to work on these Hangouts. Anyway, fun prompt is a witch house.
A witch house?
Which could be fun. Yeah, a witch house. Could be fun, could be kind of boring.
Are you going to entertain the thought of?
Yeah, I'm entertaining it. It seems entertaining. Hey, Jack, what do you think?
Jack? Yeah.
Or anyone else, if the Twitch family is available, if YouTube, we have a witch house.
And we could put the garage on the 3rd floor because she'd have a broom. That's a possibility.
Yeah, I dig witch house. I need an adjective. That's what's cool about this, Jack, is you can add whatever adjective you'd like. So yeah, I think install Hang-On extension.
You can try that Uber one. It won't let me do it.
All right, hang on.
Click on it.
It won't let you do it because
I'm not the man.
Yeah.
But when I clicked on it, it gave a number and everything. You just have to click connect.
Let's see. All right, so I think that's it. I think we're gonna do a witch house.
Oh, okay. I thought we were gonna roll the dice.
Jack needs an adjective, but I say you have the power to
give yourself an adjective.
To give yourself an adjective. That's how it works.
Right.
Welcome. All right. So witch house. That's what we're gonna do. Let's see. I'm trying to get all my things in order. Anyway, moving on. Witch house. Witch house. Well, how can we move that? Anyway, we're moving on. So yeah. So I went to LA this weekend. There was an unfortunate sudden family member passed away.
Oh.
But it gave me the opportunity. I still have a storage unit down there with a lot of my stuff. And so what I did was, hang on, let me go get him. Hang on.
Please hold.
And we have to wonder what's in that storage unit. While he's gone, guess what's in the storage unit.
So I'm gonna say all his old dresses he used to wear.
Nice. I wasn't gonna go that far. I'd say a bowling ball with the case and the shoes.
Ooh,
I do have that.
You do
The whole
I have
kit.
that.
In your storage unit? Okay.
Like a
With your name on it?
I have
Ooh,
it does not have my name on it, but I do have
The nickname.
I have one of those bowling bags with the 3 bowling balls, and it carries my shoes
The whole thing.
and the whole thing.
Yeah,
I have a championship. I have a bowling championship ring.
Nice.
The ring, kiss the ring.
Yeah, we won the championship. Me and my brother's team,
Oh man.
and we killed it.
Just make
You
it
think-
pop. This looks like a short list. I need it to be gold.
You're just gonna say everything right now. So yeah. So as you heard, I have
The
this.
90s called and they want their job shadows back.
Yeah. The art director.
I have the art director, but then I
Yeah.
I
also.
like it. I don't love it.
Okay, take it easy. Pipe down, kid. But then I also have
Totally me.
from 300. I also have King Leonidas. So is he going to talk today?
We are Sparta.
So I kind of wanted to see what would happen if these guys went at each other.
I like it, but I don't love
Head
it.
to head.
Yeah.
Say something, dummy.
Custom more versions.
I don't know what Carl says.
Feels too designed.
Okay.
So King Leonidas said, "No retreat, no surrender," and the art director said, "Feels too designed." One more.
You'll thank me when we're in camp.
Say something, dumbass.
No.
Okay, we're gonna have to. You're being a hardhead right now.
It's a little dusty.
A little dusty.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, King Leonidas is back.
I think whatever he
There's
says
history.
should be our next week's sketch prompt.
It feels too advertising. I like where this is going, but let's just start over.
Killing it right now.
I don't love it.
That's what he said about that bit. I was
Yeah.
like,
Let's do that.
let's battle it out. He's like, no. So I wanted to talk to you guys about have you guys seen these teasers for Ninja Batman?
No. Ninja.
Yeah.
Batman.
So you've seen the animation, the guys that study the animation of those things, the like frame by frame.
Mm.
Yeah. I dig which a head in a jar. That's us to leads us to Buffalo Bill. Oh. Jack is participating in the chat. So yeah, apparently there's some heavy hitters from the Japanese animation world.
Mhm.
They're taking on Batman, and I put the link in the chat there. And not for anything, but I think maybe DC is finally going to have a really good Batman movie.
What is it, animation?
Yeah,
Doesn't count.
anime.
All the animation movies have been pretty decent. Pretty good. They need a winner for live action.
Have they been though?
Have you seen all the Justice League ones and all the other ones, the animation ones? They actually have been really good.
Yeah.
Like from a cartoon.
Have you seen Justice League yet?
The cartoon ones, the real ones. I probably
Yeah.
will see it.
Have you
I need to
seen
go see
Justice
everything.
League?
No,
No.
I didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger. I heard too much bad stuff about it.
Really? I heard a lot of good stuff about it.
Really, everybody I've talked to that's gone to see it wish they hadn't seen it because the story itself is ridiculous. Usually the Michael Bay-
Superman. It's supposed to be ridiculous.
You go watch it because it's a Michael Bay movie if you like those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not Michael Bay, then the weird plot lines just don't people don't give it a pass like they give Michael Bay's. Like with Transformers, some people didn't like Transformers because it was too much action all over the place. You know, couldn't tell when things was happening.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same type of deal, and they kind of bro-sized the Justice League. Even though there's Wonder Woman, who's still the most interesting one there.
Just about it, yeah. Like everybody else is just way too.
Come on, Aquaman. Come on.
Aquaman is not. I'm sorry. Aquaman was never cool, and they made him cool. So now that they made him, try to make him cool because we love Jason Momoa. He's great. But if he's saying stuff like "sweet," you're bad at get it, or like "yeah," the allegory, "yeah," he's flying through the air. It's just like.
After the Big Bang Theory, you can't take Aquaman seriously. I'm sorry. After this, it doesn't work. How come I always have to be Aquaman?
No, they made him cool, but it's just like I don't think it read real well. I would have went the Thor route.
Yeah, I think Marvel
before Marvel turned Thor comedic, which was amazing because it was good. If you haven't seen Thor, it was great. Go see it. But remember when Thor, the first couple movies of Thor, it was the semi-serious movie.
Yeah.
But it had the weird, awkward, humorous moments because between him and the girl, which worked really well. Him and Natalie Portman, which worked really well. Do that with Aquaman, where like he's stereotypical character. It's very serious, very like stout. I probably would even went with the stereotypical blonde Aquaman too. I would have found some crazy blonde dude that's buff. And like blue eyes, blonde hair.
You need a moment?
Wow. No, I'm just thinking this.
He's all
very stereotypical. Very still pushing them. Let's just make Aquaman black. It probably would have been better. Let's go with that. Because all I think of Aquaman is the crazy fish scale like chest with the gold pants back in the day.
Yeah.
And like the very cheesy milkman smile. And now I got like dirty Jason Momoa, scraggly hair, crazy weird hipster beardish mustache.
No, you should be the guy from Old Spice commercials.
Yo, if he was Aquaman.
Yeah.
Terry
Crews?
No.
He'd be funny, but the other guy.
The football player. The other football player that was at Old Spice. They had the crazy radio voice.
Look at your boyfriend. Now look at me.
Now back at me.
But that's a good point, Charlie. Because I did see the new Thor, and I do remember thinking, wow, they're really going for it as far as
comedy.
Yeah.
I think all the Marvel movies are gonna be like that now
because they learned from Star-Lord, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah,
but who would have thought that they first tried on Thor? And plus, who's the main character of Thor? What's the guy's name again? I always forget.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris is it Chris? Right? Yeah. Who would have thought that he'd make a really good comedic but serious action hero? I'm thinking of things like The Rock, or who was another serious like Eddie Murphy was another guy that always did the comedic but action hero type deal. If you think of Beverly Hills Cop, there's serious points, there's very funny points. Will Smith did it really good. Martin Lawrence, who else? Lethal Weapon, Danny Glover, and all those guys where it's like.
So basically, all the black people.
No, I just named the white.
Are people. Really good. You named like 8 black people.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of people that just come pop in my head.
This is African American Thor.
It's usually like those cop movies, right? Because whatever cop, because it's got some funny points.
Yeah.
But it was good. I'm so surprised because
I thought
he was a stereotypical really comic book hero in the kind of Marvel universe, like just way too serious. And now that's what happens when you like come to Earth and live in America for a while. You just become chill and laid back. Yeah. on all points.
Hang with
like
immortals.
the girl in it too. No one talks about her as much, but she did a good job too.
Who?
The Valkyrie chick. I didn't know her before this movie.
Oh.
Who she was. I can't remember. I don't even know her name.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
But like, no, I like the whole thing. Did you like it, Chris?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm taking classes in the evening. I don't have time for a film. Actually, we have a theater about walking distance.
Before we get
No
into
excuses.
I have to remember to send a shout out to my really good friend Rigo Herrera. He's the one that brought that the Ninja Batman to my attention. So hey, Rigo, his son Isaiah, they're both fantastic. Hi, Grace, his wife. Hi, y'all. Miss you guys. So yeah, good looking out. Batman, Ninja Batman is coming out in anime style. So Chris, you're taking classes at night?
Well, I take an online class. I take it whenever I can. Yeah, I take a Vex coding class with this amazing woman I met at SIGGRAPH this year in LA. I miss you guys. Didn't see you there.
No,
you guys are busy.
I miss me too.
Yeah,
I wasn't busy more than broke.
Yeah. Saw Jack, and he hosted me over at DreamWorks, which is cool.
Oh,
Big giant 10-foot panda there. And this woman, Anastasia Oprah, I'm actually wearing the shirt. She was presenting at the Houdini Hive event there. And she's 25 years old. Russian, speaks perfect English, of course, but from Russian. But she's worked at EA Games doing these procedural modeling in Houdini, and she's just brilliant. I said as soon she just started talking about using Vex coding, using code to create basically algorithmic life forms, like a plant from algorithms, so mathematical algorithms. So as soon as she teaches a class, I'm taking it. And sure enough, 2 months later, she had a class. It was $800. I went, I'm taking it. That's it. I'm spending the money.
CGMA?
Huh?
Yeah, CGMA.
CGMA, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
CGMA.
I took a class last year. I took a new class. I love it. It's a good site.
Was that your?
Yeah.
That was that lighting and rendering one, Charlie?
That was a nuke compositor.
Nuke. That's what it was.
Yeah. You know who it is? Our friends over at CG Society. Carlos is Manny.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he owns CGMA. So yeah,
Nice.
They've had an influx of new classes. They had an influx of new Houdini classes, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Like the Vex one. There's a couple other ones I saw. I saw there's a new special effects one for game, and a couple other ones. I want to take they had a teacher that used to be there. It was really good. He did like a destruction and a bunch of other stuff. But I want
this stuff is really intense. I didn't get my homework turned in today because it was kicking my butt. It was really intense stuff.
How's that feel?
Yeah, that Vex.
Good. I like it. No excuses. I just, he was teaching for 15 and 16 is different, but even then it was like, I should be able to get this stuff and convert my knowledge from,
you scare me, Chris.
From Vex coding into CVex. That's just not, that one wasn't sticking. A lot of it sticks, and it's fine, but
I don't know. Stick to the basic classes, because if it's kicking your butt, then I knew that Vex scares me. But my bucket list next year is to take a Houdini class, and now you totally
ruined it.
Yeah, it's good to get it over your head, because it's amazing how much you do learn, because you're struggling so hard. Because the assignments they give you are like, okay, now extrapolate that information to something I haven't even shown you how to do yet. Which, if I did that to my students, they would blow a fuse and start vomiting over themselves. Like I would, of course. Just show me how to do it once. And like, yeah, that's not the fun part. Just, here's a couple things, and now here's a problem you're gonna have to solve, which is really how things are in real life.
Right. But it's coding. It's scary.
But I was showing this stuff today in my Houdini meetup, the Chicago meetup, that you had to show up for that thing every so often. We had to have it hosted over at your place.
I didn't even know it was today.
It was today, yeah.
I gotta get it on my calendar to pop up.
Yeah.
Where are you guys doing your invites from? Is it like Eventbrite or what is it?
It's Meetup, meetup.com, the Meetup
Okay,
site,
the
Meetup app.
set up.
Anyway, one of my old students from graduated a couple of years ago, Dustin Tarr, who's over at the mill. He's actually does a lot of the motion tracking, but he's doing some Houdini particle stuff.
Yes.
And I was actually showing him some stuff, and then he was kind of popping in and talking about the vex coding he does in his job every day, which is kind of cool. Like,
What's his title over there?
He is a junior artist right now. So he went from runner to artist, but he's a junior artist. So he's still kicking butt over there, sticking around. There were a lot of layoffs, and he made the cut.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what's Vex code like? Is it more like Java? Is it more like
it's kind of Java-like. I mean, if you look at JavaScript, it's probably similar to that.
Yeah.
You have to declare your variables and declare it as an integer or string or vector variables, and declare them first, and then you can go ahead and use them.
Carlos might be actually pretty good with Houdini. Carlos might be actually pretty good with Houdini.
Probably so. I mean, the other stuff you don't even have to be involved in Vex. You can just do it visually. There's a visual coding system called VOPs, which are vector operators. But it's all
there it is. That's what I'll be. I'll be right over there with VOPs.
VOPs, yeah. Using
I can deal with nodes. I can deal with nodes. I will figure out every node.
You can be in VOPs and
I will be over there. Do it the long way. With a big node list this big. You could have just wrote 2 lines. Don't care.
Love my nodes.
So how's
multi-threading?
How's it work? Like, what would you use Vex code for?
Well, I mean, Vex is just a point in space. So a vector is just it's either a point in space that describes a location, or a direction and a velocity, or a vector. A vector scalar. That there's a unit vector is just a point that it's a point in space in a direction that goes some direction and some sort of twist or rotation.
Right.
The magnitude for that vector. So that's that. And there's also vectors that color too. So RGB colors. So you can have a vector 3, which is the usual. So you can take a position in space and say, okay, I want to paint this color, and I paint it green. It goes up because it's you just wire the paint color green to the Y position, so it just goes up as you paint it. And you can also have what are called sign distance fields, which is taking a shell of an object and converting that to a volume. And the surface of the volume, the value is 0. As you come inward, and I keep getting this backwards, but as you go inward, it's a negative value, and as you go outward, it's a positive value. So there's this gradient that points from that surface off to a direction. It's like a normal vector. Okay. But you can push it off and back and forth. So, for example, you could have a particle field, particles that land in water, and then some that are foam. So the foam ones, you can tell it if they're down below this gradient field, you can have them go up and hang them on the surface. If there's spray that can come up, and the spray will splash up and they'll land on the water like bubbles. So you can have spray, foam in the water, and then this like a vorticity, this sort of cavitation of foam underwater.
You know what it's like, Carlos? So Houdini is a program that's like Max or Maya, right?
Right.
So you know about Max Script and Maya Script and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the programming language that Houdini uses that allows you to take the visual things you do in Houdini a little bit farther, right? So instead of doing that stuff, if you made a particle system or like a tornado system or whatever, right? Smoke or whatever, you can use Vex to help augment the particle systems that you're doing better, in different ways. And
you could write your own particle system from the ground up with just Vex code.
Which is Vex code. So it's the coding language for this program.
Yeah.
So it's like a Max or Maya. It does animation, it does compositing, it does particles, it does procedural modeling, and does regular modeling, and it does rendering, right? So it's an all-in-one, jack-of-all trades, Swiss Army knife of a production tool. And they use it, and Houdini is used really well with effects, like destruction, drive a car through a wall, bring down the World Trade Center, that type of crazy things. And then so imagine doing it, traditionally, like setting up all your different physics systems and stuff like that. And then imagine doing some of those things with the help of code. So then the other thing that Houdini does really well is the crazy particle system. The particle system can get so crazy that you can mimic natural life at a microscopic level, right? So if you've seen any of those really cool motion graphic or commercial pieces that has a really cool procedural, like it just looks like a cool, particle that's happening. Sometimes you can write all that with just Vex code, or take all the Nike commercials, like from like a company like Axis Sponza. They're a firm that does a lot of motion graphics and does a lot of stuff for Nike. And say the new shoe came out. There's a new shoe that came out for Nike that has a different type of weave. They did a thing where they showed the close up of a shoe, but really it's just like, and they showed like the shoe actually weaving itself together, which is all done through Vex, so you would write the algorithm that makes the particles do that type of thing. And you pull out and it's a shoe. It's different stuff like that. So how can you use, visual effects in a way to like make your life easier by using Vex?
And you don't need to use Vex either. I mean, you can really build a lot of the stuff with the components they give you.
Yeah.
It's like a box full of nuts and bolts and gears and whatnots. Like that's Houdini. Here's a box full of crap. Build whatever the heck you want. Like Maya's a Lamborghini. You get in it, you start moving, and here's all the buttons that are pre-built for you, and you just drive it. And maybe you can type a little code and make it do some special stuff. But for the most part, you're sort of like adding on to whatever already exists. You can get down there pretty deep. Max, same thing. There's a lot of stuff that's already ready built for you. Houdini's from the ground, from zero, just like here's a bunch of nuts and bolts and pieces. You build whatever you want. You can build a jet, Lamborghini, truck, transformer, whatever you want to, but you have control over the
pipeline. The
lower level.
You're like, I need to make this like organic, tidal wave made with just,
spoons,
illuminated goo made of spoons, and how do you write that?
They use that for the tidal wave in that movie Kubo.
Oh yeah.
Tidal wave is actually.
So I need to make an impressionistic version of water and not real water. How do you do that? Or it needs to look like it's clay, and then moving and having the same viscosity as water does.
You can animate
get in there and do some crazy stuff.
You can animate a mesh in Maya and bring that into Houdini and turn that into a particle system, and the mesh is driving the particle system along. Or vice versa, you can have a particle system and then mesh that and convert that into some mesh object. And then have them interact together with each other if you want to.
And I want to do that with Cinema 4D, bring stuff in from Cinema or X Particles or whatever and bring them into Houdini like they've done. And like, that's a different particle system. And then bring that in and mesh the two together because it does amazing things.
Yeah, the data transfers back and forth.
Right.
Just pure data.
And then Houdini was one of those programs like that you would see ILM or like one of those big places. Jack's probably been very, very familiar with it over Digital Domain and stuff like that.
Definitely, they're big.
They started getting into, and Chrissy talked about this too. They started saying, "Cool, let's start to corner the game market." So then they made this thing called the Houdini Engine, which is, think of it as like a bridge tool to do cool effects that you do in Houdini or procedural stuff that you do in Houdini, and bridge it and throw it through this pipeline, and then now you can use it in Unity or Unreal. So game engines and like indie studios and stuff like that, if they don't have a big, huge studio, these guys are learning Houdini and they're doing all their like modeling, all their procedural modeling in Houdini and building out little modules to help them populate their scenes in the game engines, right? So like Chris said, it's nuts and bolts, right? So I need there's only 6 of us, but we need to make a whole forest, and the trees need to look all different and interesting. Traditionally, what would you do, right? You would model all that stuff and you bring it into Unity and you would like place all that stuff. But we know that indies have a problem with, manpower and time. So you could build a tree system in Houdini, right? Where you can like have a base, you can spawn its own branches.
Hey, I just did that for my assignment last week.
There you go. You set attributes to the tree and everything, and how many branches.
Charlie been looking at the tutorials.
A lot of people do these for games and stuff.
I'll,
and then you export
you.
that out, send it through a Houdini engine, and then when you get into Unity or Unreal, you can have one tree and turn it into, 20 other different trees just by moving sliders and stuff like that. So you build all the sliders and stuff in Houdini, and it'd be this nice packaged thing, attribute editor or whatever. You said you did this last week, Chris?
Yeah, I can actually. Really cool. I have it on my screen. I can share it with you guys if you want me to.
Do that.
It's really cool the way game development and visual effects software is starting to like mesh together, because there's been some really cool games that have been built by like 3 or 4 people. They've been using like Houdini.
It's a bit flaky. I'm on my video card. You can see that or not.
Yep.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So this is my class project, just growing algorithms.
Nice.
I gotta fix the leaves because I want to have them point the right direction. So
something tells me it's gonna say something.
Could be, maybe.
Interface and intimidating.
Ta-da!
If you're listening on iTunes, Chris used looks like a plant of some sort it grows and it spells out his name. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is done with this solver here. So it's a solver SOP that I was showing this to my some high school students a couple days ago, and I think some of them started like their eyes glazed over.
There's code. There's a scary
code. Yeah.
Hold up. Let's see what the art director says.
It feels too designed.
Oh, totally.
Less stocky.
It's not designed at all. It's hacked BS.
Bigger, but keep it simple.
Yeah. So without getting too crazy, this is basically what I have this food group here. It's all the food pieces, and you first start this whole thing out. Get a bunch of food, and hold on. So there's food there. So these points here are just scattered in this mesh. There's other mesh here just to kind of delete some food out of there, so it'll avoid those and actually grow around it. So all this food is, we have all this food. Remember that from Bug's Life? There is a nerdy reference. So these seeds will start to grow into the food, and one by one, this code is basically saying, I've got 3 seeds. All the food here needs to find the nearest seed and then assign itself to you. So every one of these points here, these food points, is saying, well, okay, where's my nearest seed, and assign myself to you. So if I go here to the spreadsheet, everybody loves spreadsheets. Yay, they're so artistic. Spreadsheets. Every food will have its group seed assigned to it. I think I only have one seed anyway, so it doesn't matter. They're all getting the same seed. Then every seed will say, well, where's my nearest food group? I'm going to go start growing toward it. So this code is basically saying, go to me, go to my nearest food. And as I go toward it, eat it. And find an average among that group, and just, I won't go into too much of the detail. So anyway, these will just kind of go step toward it. Every frame will just step in toward that food group, splitting off as it needs to. And if I just do this without the tip group, there we go.
Yeah. Zoom in one more time, Chris.
Okay. So as it grows out and further, it just sort of fills that area. If it can't find any food, it's going to grow a different direction until it can find food. So it's an algorithm that will just it'll grow around and toward food. So wherever you put the food, it'll just grow toward that food. And then you tell it to create these little tip groups and then delete everything that's not a tip. So as it grows out, it'll just sort of end like that, tip groups. And then they're going to wire themselves toward it. And those tip groups, I just grow a leaf at the end of the tip.
So imagine if you used a photo scanned leaf texture, like digital scanned it, whatever, super high res.
No, I just made a little grid and I just did it into a leaf like that and called it a day. Because it's, in the end, it's just a little teeny shape like that. But I could put a UV map on there and make it nice and pretty. But
and then watch that growing. That'd be really cool. It'd be just like this organic plant that grows out. So cool, yeah.
That's that.
I'll
stop.
That's hey, Chris, you might know. You tell me if you know this guy or not. He's in the chat room. Matt.
Skanicki.
Skanicki.
What's up, Matt? Yeah, Matt. I'm gonna take a class too, but it looks hard. You're right.
That looks too hard. Yeah.
It scares me. You know, this comes from a guy who likes to learn new programs, but that interface punches me in the stomach every time I look at it.
But the cool thing is, you know, for those folks that might consider themselves not quite a creative, and you're more of a coder, this is your way in. You don't have to become a web developer. You don't have to be an app developer. You can still get into motion graphics and visual effects. Yeah.
But think about it, because then you just pass that off, right? So then you pass that cool, we call it like plant life simulation that he just did. You can pass all that stuff off. You can pass it all off, package it up real nice, pass it off, and the other artist makes it pretty. Some other artists.
Is there a way for you to?
It's cool.
Is there a way for you to input the name that you want, and then the seeds automatically fill that space?
I suppose so. I mean, every input's just a piece of data. So if you make that promote that parameter up to the top level, of the asset, when you package it up, like Charlie was saying, in the game engine, they could theoretically input a string of some sort. How they do it in the game engine might be, you know, just access this data path, and there's the string that's going to be creating that mesh. But everything you see there can be changed up. You can. That mesh that it's going to put onto the end of that could also be another, you know, skeletal mesh or some sort of mesh that you bring in a static mesh into from Unreal from something else. I mean, those things are parameters you can adjust in the engine. It's really powerful.
Yeah, that's where we want to take it, because like for somebody like me that does like a lot of experiential stuff, like and where you're leading, Carlos, would be all right. So we send that through Houdini engine, you know, have it all packaged up so we have some attributes that we can touch inside the engine. I tell the programmer, like, boom, cool. When this spawns on the screen, it's going to spawn the person's name based off the input that you put in. So that, like, you know, if it's a shareable that we're trying to do at some like convention, say a SIGGRAPH or CES or something like that, and we're at some, you know, environmentally sound company's booth, and they're trying to find some crazy 9-foot touchscreen, you know, that you put your name and email in, your name grows on the screen, and people take pictures for selfies or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff we want to do. It's a different way of showing off their name, you know, that can be branded towards them, you know, and that's the power of like Houdini with that stuff. It's like interesting ways of like showing off content that's going to grab people's eye and be like, "Ooh, this is cool," and it's spelling my name, and it's dynamic. Whatever I put in this field here, it spells it. You know, it's like.
And Unreal and Unity are just like, they're brilliant at that kind of stuff, like motion graphics that happens right there when you need it, real time rendering. It's just, you know, I'm pushing more and more of my students to go into Unreal, and then using Houdini and other tools to create the assets for it, and because the sky's the limit. Why wait to render it out? We can render it out like that.
And that's what people are doing, all from concerts to, you know, to like festivals. They're making these little interactions. South by Southwest has all that stuff. You guys go down there. We've done a lot of different activations for them down there, but other companies have got a bunch of different things where that's happening. You know, there's stuff where like you touch the screen and then stuff grows from your fingertips. You know, and like it's almost like an art piece, like you were saying, Carlos.
Yeah.
From a coder standpoint. So you got those people. If you are like technical minded and you want to get into stuff like this, check out Houdini. Check out procedural animation in general and look for that. There's a guy that comes to mind by the name of Joshua Davis, who's a famous artist, but he's a famous technical artist that does coding. And I don't know, Carlos, what is that genre called that he uses? Processing?
Processing, yeah.
Is that a coding language or something, or a?
Yeah, I haven't heard of it, but Joshua Davis came up. He got popular because of his Flash work, and yeah, like he used to do installations where, and we used to do all this in Flash, where you would have a projector and you'd walk in front of the screen and it would see where your silhouette was, and you'd have like smoke coming up off of your silhouette, and if you jump, the smoke would react to your silhouette.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it was legit. Looks like Matt just tried Substance Painter live link to Unreal. He says it's awesome.
Yeah,
it is processing. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Live link is amazing too.
I can't wait for. I have to try it for. We need to try it for Unity also. So real-time feedback. So you're in your Substance Painter program, texturing your model. Now you can have a link between Unreal and Substance Live. So as you're painting, it updates in Unreal.
Yeah, Matt's really on the cutting edge of. He's like the nuke guy at our school, but now he's going into Substance designer as well as painter. But he's kicking major.
Oh, he's just Mr. Fancy then.
Yeah, he's whatever he does, I keep a close eye on him because he's
watching
really cool stuff. Cool. I'm gonna take while we're talking. I'm gonna take a look at. I don't remember which episode he was on the show, but Matt Skanicki has been on the show before.
Yeah.
Yeah, fancy pants indeed.
Fancy pants.
But for those folks that probably don't know, let's go back to when, because I think I met Chris first. I was at AI, and Chris was one of the instructors there. And the reason why we call him Yoda is because this dude stayed busy in the creative end of things. And then he would come back like on a Monday morning and be like, look what I learned. Look what I learned. And everyone would be around his computer just like absorbing all this stuff. And a lot of times we didn't understand what the hell he was talking about.
That's because I didn't either.
He's showing programs. I don't even know how. Like, we didn't even teach Softimage at the school. He's showing stuff.
Right. Actually, there's a student that came in with Softimage XSI, and I was like, yeah, I was thinking about trying that out. And he was real excited. I forget his name. Polish guy. One of my Polish, Yakshamash. But he was really into it and excited, and I picked it up and started digging into it, and I got a really cheap version of it. They had this foundation, XSI foundation, and the more I played with it, the more I thought this is really the future. And of course, it was, and that's why Autodesk killed it.
Yeah, it sucks.
So real quick, if you guys go back to episode 116, that's when Matt came on and he was talking about everything that he's doing and what he's doing with Flashpoint Tribeca.
Nice.
So yeah, I need to edit that, but it's sketch.zone/episode-116.
Check it out.
So Chris, what got you into teaching? We always wondered that, by the way, the chat link I just put in the
cool. Great,
chat
thanks.
there. Because one of the things that we always, I mean, we're talking about Mike Chubb, Neeraj Desai, Morris, Jamlang, and like all these guys we always wondered, like you were always busy doing creative stuff, and we always wondered why the hell you were spending time with us.
I had a couple great, well, I had a great teacher, art teacher in junior high, and he was just really instrumental. Dan Newman. He had me look up one day. I was painting clouds and skies. The first thing I would paint were clouds. Really? When I was young in 7th grade, and he said, "Look up." And I go, "Okay." We're outside, and it's Sitka, Alaska. 500 inches of rain every year. It just like poured all the time. Always gray, always cloudy. I looked up one. He said, "What color is that?" I go, "Gray." He goes, "No, look over there. There's orange, gray. Look up there. It's blue, gray. Look over there. It's greenish gray." And I looked up and I went, "There's a multitude of gray colors." I mean, in that shade, in that thing you obviously can associate as gray, there's this, rainbow of so many shades and tones and variations of it. It was really subtle. So training your eye to see the color instead of gray was like the first step in like, oh, that's really cool. And I never forgot that. That's the first thing I remembered. And then I just started painting more and more and just got snowball rolling. And then we got into fantasy, like Dungeons and Dragons, kind of drawing characters out of my head. And my brother and I, my brother's now Mark Tedin. You got to get him on your podcast. Mark's
ready whenever you are.
Yeah, he started with magic cards. He drew the very first magic cards out there. Like you guys are, students back in your day were playing it. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, my brother drew those." Really? Yeah, look at the last name, Mark Tedin. So he's the famous of the two brothers. But I taught him. I taught him everything I know. And then I didn't teach him everything he knows, though.
This whole thing.
So he and I just drew back and forth. I went to college and he followed me along to the same school, Gonzaga University. And this painter who just make these 6 foot tall, beautiful masterpieces of a single flower, just an iris seen from below, from an ant's point of view, and perfect. Like the light coming through the petals was like Bug's Life. I mean, just perfectly done, perfectly rendered from his head, and like this giant, 18-foot tall iris from underneath, or this peony, and all the petals were translucent. He said he was an abstract artist, but these rings were finessed to perfection, and huge. So he taught you how to paint, like the old classic traditional, here's skin tone, here's the right way of doing it. His art teachers were Ben Shahn back at Boston University, and went to Florence and came back Florence for a year, which was amazing. Came back and I decided I want to take pottery class, and I took this class from Terry Gabar, and this guy was from University of Iowa, and he was just amazing, just blew my mind in a completely different way. And he was just the greatest teacher. And then I was just hooked on clay and painting, and I was just doing, pottery and sculpture and painting, and I just snowballed from there. And I never forgot those teachers. Yeah. And like all the people that were there at these crucial moments in my life were there to show me that one or two things, to kind of like open my eyes to something. And then like, I would just take it from there and give the excitement that was something you could actually do. And not for a living. I just, back in the day, you didn't care. You just went to college and learned something cool. And then you figure you're going to do something with your life. And I thought, I'm going to be a teacher. So I went on to graduate school, went to Northern Illinois University, and met 100 graduates. It's like the second largest graduate program in the country at the time. And they gave me a free ride for my grad program. Met Joe Siegenthaler, who's a teacher at the school, making 9-foot tall clay sculptures that were these Roman joints that were hooked together. He had mixed like nylon fiber, almost like fiberglass, into the clay. He could make these huge, beautiful, extravagant pieces out of clay. And he and I had a friendship from there on out, and I've known him for 20 some years now. Anyway, so he was like one of my teachers, was like somebody I was supposedly at the same level with, but he was obviously way better than I at the time. Just really talented in the human figure, and just could nail the human figure. And his work is actually you can see it at the Carl Hammer Gallery, and his stuff is at the collection at the Museum of Contemporary Art here in Chicago. Just brilliant stuff. And I showed him some Maya. I said, "Here's some 3D stuff. I think you might be interested in that." And he went crazy with that. He actually became an artist at it's NetherRealm Studios now, but it was Midway Games back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
He was head of modeling for the entire country. Like everybody came to him because he gave a talk on sculpture and kind of 3D and just art in general. And everybody said, that's the guy. He's our teacher. It's like, yeah, he is. He's my teacher too. So I was able to actually get him in, hire him to teach modeling at our school too. And when a bunch of people left, we brought him in to teach. As an adjunct, he taught like 5 classes and just killed it. All the students were amazing. So anyway, that's a long story short. Long story even longer. I just like being around you guys too. I mean, when I'm the further I get into it, the more I see how you just like take fire and go. I can just vicariously live your life a little bit and like take a little part in that person's life. I've had maybe a handful of people out of it's 80-20 rule. Like 20% of my students become really, really good and successful. 80% are gonna find some level of, based on their own abilities and desire and push. But I still ride off that fire of you guys kicking butt. So it just excites me to go to work every day, and because now I'm literally walked out of the place. It was like 8 o'clock at night, and there's still kids in the school. Like if they could stay open, it'd be like Jackson Lau, like sleeping underneath the benches at the AI. Just like if they didn't kick him out, they'd just be sleeping there all the time. They eventually went to U of I and found this place that they could actually work there until it was time they can come back to our school because we had to close the building. Just be there all the time, and now they're like pushing each other, and once they start pushing each other, that's when things start to really happen, because you can only do so much. But they start having their own projects. They're doing a VR level right now for Stranger Things. They're doing a Stranger Things VR level. So I've got the Vive here. I'm gonna set it up for them, and they're gonna like see how their stuff how it holds up when you're actually walking through it.
Nice.
And students of mine are actually teaching my students too. So I see Justin Molman, who's from AI. I don't know if you ever knew Justin, but he's teaching a modeling class right now.
Justin,
doing a great job. We know that little knucklehead.
Yeah, you graduated with me.
Yeah. He's a dingbat. Dan LaDuca's there teaching modeling. Tyrus is actually doing a drawing class. I'll probably have him do some ZBrush too. Mm-hmm. So I've got 3 of my students, now they're actually teaching, and 2 people in the marketing department too. Ryan Brockmeyer. They're doing some marketing stuff for him, some graphic design work for him. Yeah. So I'm just still surrounded with you knuckleheads.
Documentaries are expensive. You got.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you have to go back to work.
Yeah. Gotta get health insurance mainly. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But the school's been really good to me, and it's a great school.
Did you happen to mention what school you're at now?
Yeah, Tribeca Flashpoint College.
Just wanted to make sure that we said that.
Get a little bell ding. Tribeca Flashpoint College. It was started by a crazy guy named Howard Tolman about 8 years ago now, and maybe 9 years ago. He kind of just started up with a bunch of people that came from Columbia College and were just tired of how Columbia College is doing things. They decided to run a 2-year program and just get your hands right on the cameras, get your hands inside of Softimage or Maya, get working immediately, or audio. They have a great audio program too. You start using the equipment right away. At the same time, you're learning theory and all the other stuff, but you're also just building and making things. They have you make a project in your first semester. You're forced to make stuff, forced to use your brain. Whether it's Columbia, other schools like that, no knock against Columbia. I got some people I know there who they do a really great job, but it's a little bit slower to get going. I think you learn theory, you practice, and then later on you learn the software, which is a different
traditional setup of like fundamentals first, and then they move in.
Right.
You get the kids right in there on the stuff as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, we do technical stuff and fundamentals at the same time. So you're taking design and modeling. You're taking animation and drawing. You're taking, art history and compositing. And then hopefully all the stuff can kind of merge together once you start having to put all your left and right parts of your brains together at the same time. So it's kind of just shove it all in there as fast as possible and then let's make something. Just go make something. That's when the learning really happens.
Right.
And I think they really seem to appreciate that. They like the fact that they get a play in there and get frustrated sooner than later. They get frustrated early. Then by the time they're 2 semesters in, it's like, it's an old tool. I now I know how to use it. Second semester, by the second year, they're really like pretty efficient. They kind of know how to handle the software. They can get through and start to make things.
Yeah.
And create.
I think I'm gonna kind of bring it to almost like not almost exactly a sports level, because I think your approach, the way that they're approaching education there, is very similar to, say, Little League baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're a kid, they give you a baseball, they give you a glove, they say, go play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you start learning the fundamentals, and then eventually you start learning who Babe Ruth is. You start learning who, Chris Bryant is. And I'm just going to say, your addiction to what you do causes you to want to learn more, and who did this and why did that happen.
Yeah, and later on you can do the drills that kind of get the muscle memory to do that certain thing every single time. But you first start to play. You start to do things wrong first.
Right.
Then here's a couple of drills that will make it easier to do the right things.
Yeah, usually that happens when you're playing in the park, playing with your buddies, and then imagine how you felt when you first had that organized practice,
Right.
And then you go backwards, right, Carlos? Then you start doing, the coach says, okay, cool. Let's teach you these drills. All you guys know how to play the game of baseball from playing it with your friends. Now that's perfection. That makes sense. Good analogy.
Here's a quick story. So a few years ago, I had to have my ACL fixed because it was completely gone. So I had it fixed, and I hadn't played baseball in a long time. So here we are a few years later. It's probably a couple years ago. There was a baseball team that they were playing a pickup game. So I went out to play, and I played baseball forever. And I know how to get myself in position and all that stuff. So I played shortstop, and it was my first ground ball. I picked it up. I was so excited. I threw that shit in the trees. Like I chucked the baseball so far. Everyone did one of these.
Yeah.
I was like, sorry, I was excited. But then you get back into, we were talking the muscle memory and stuff. You get back into that. You have to let the hook sink in before you bore the hell out of people. I think that's a mistake that a lot of schools make. Like you're doing cartoon history even before you're drawing cartoons.
Right. Why do I care?
Yeah, I had to supplement that like the first year at school, and that's how I first met Chris, is because he would let me sit in on his classes freshman year in the evening because I was stupid in the beginning and kept my schedule like high school. So I had all my classes in the mornings and stuff. So I just come back to school at 6 o'clock in the evening and sit in the back of a class because I was like, I want to get to this 3D stuff faster, I'm just gonna go sit in the back of the class. I think that's how I met Tyrus. Tyrus thought I was a junior at one point because I kept showing up in all his classes. I'm like, no, I don't have this class for another probably a year and a half yet.
And that's one thing you got to be careful when you tell Charlie anything about anything.
Yeah.
Charlie looks at learning. Charlie looks at learning like a pit bull looks at a pork chop.
Nice.
Yo, I'm so glad I did that. I met so many of you guys that way from being in the wrong place. When I'm not supposed to.
And I think that's what I think that type of that mentality I think is very important. And not that you're an outgoing person. This is kind of a pep talk to some of our younger folks. We talk about this all the time. It's not that you're trying to be pushy and be in front of people and just like harass them all the time. But if you're hanging out with, if Charlie was at the if Charlie Jack is cracking up on the chat. If Charlie's hanging out with, like, Charlie hung out with us and we were, let's say seniors, we were on our way out, but there was things that we were doing that Charlie accidentally learned just because he was hanging out with that crew.
Accidental learning. Gotta love that.
Jackson Lau lived in the same building as me because there's only 3 or 4 students in our apartment building. He lived like 2 floors above. So there's many a nights because he didn't sleep. I was like, cool.
Never.
And I was I was in his apartment, like, and I thought I could like stay up. That was when I was like just learning how to be a night person. And Jackson was like, here, let me show you this, and we'll look at it. And then 4 hours later, it's like, all right, Jackson, I'm gonna go to bed. Now it's 3. He's like, oh, really? You're gonna quit? Cool. Like, I gotta go to bed. I have class in the morning. He's like, your classes in the evening next night. So he can sleep in. I was like, okay.
Funniest story about Jackson. I remember him saying, I love the heat. I'm going to move down to Texas. I love it when it's hot. He goes, I like it when it's really, really hot. I open the door to my car. It's been sealed up the entire time. I open it. I sit inside and close the door. I just sit there in like 150-degree heat and like bask in it. Like, you are. That's when I knew he was
not right.
Touched.
Destined for.
You need to start your own business because I don't think anybody would hire you. You're crazy.
I know, right?
Jackson on the show.
Yeah.
He's got another interesting path.
Jackson Lau, episode 20.
Yeah, let me get him back. I want to hear what he's doing.
That was 107 episodes ago.
Yeah. Because he does the whole dragon boat, right? We talked about that too, right?
Dragon boat.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's one of my friends that like, I never would have thought, okay, cool. That's a different sport. I had to look up, like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
There's some things in Chicago. People do it here in Chicago on Lake Michigan and stuff. This looks tiring. Shout out to Jackson.
I've rowed all my life. I basically lived on the water. We had a rowboat. I go out in the ocean and just row and row and row and row. And I know how hard that is to do that long. You got a bunch of friends doing it.
Speaking of extracurricular stuff, while you guys have been talking, I've been stalking Chris on the internet, and I found some of his sculptures and stuff, and I've been putting those in the chat. Chris, you mentioned this earlier about your early days in college and stuff.
Huh?
You still kept the sculpting thing going in your spare time? Do you still sculpt a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a sculpt downstairs. We have a couple kilns. I have a kiln I'm trying to move to a different location down in Joliet and hook it up to fire. But I threw some pots and here's a pot right there.
Oh yeah.
Here's my vase.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my sculpture. That's my friend's sculpture. But yeah, I've got a tall 7-foot tall sculpture in my living room that I made a couple of years ago. I think getting back into large scale stuff. I've been sort of ZBrushing for a while, but I'd like to kind of go into.
Yeah, because there's some of those pictures we're showing. They're pretty big. Yeah, they're pretty tall. Like
we remember back in the day, you worked on some huge sculpt something or other, and you brought pictures, and we were all looking at each other like, "What in the actual hell is this guy doing?"
That's my background. My master's degree is in clay sculpture. So my master's was. Yeah, I mean, we 3D Studio in DOS just came out when I was in grad school. And so it just had popped its head, and there are actually some students who were working on that as their undergraduate, but it really wasn't a thing. It was sort of like a novelty. I didn't think Toy Story had even come out yet at the time. It was just really brand new. I think the code was fresh on the Utah teapot when I was. Yeah, the Utah teapot wasn't even around when I was a kid. So I came in from there's actually one of the requirements for this professorship at NIU, which I think Bart Woodstrom was over there at NIU as a professor, and he said there's an opening, and he's like sending me pictures of houses in Sandwich, Illinois, like come check it out. Come apply. It's like, it's too far to drive. I'm in a park. Like, oh, found me a nice, really nice house in Sandwich for about $200,000.
Oh, really?
Just sell a house here and go move out there.
Probably big too.
That's not bad.
But
cash out on this California thing.
But the requirements was you have to have a master's degree in computer graphics. Like, they didn't have that when I had my master's degree. I had to go with equivalent experience, I think, on that one. I think I invented it. Yeah, I invented the internet too. I may have. I don't know. My memory's going. Sure.
I can't remember what I invent anymore. It's been so much.
Yeah, so many things. I think I've invented in my head.
I invented it in my head.
He's a legend in his own mind.
Isn't that crazy when you have an idea and you start researching it and you realize that you don't know anything, and there's been a bunch of people that have already gone down that path, and you're like, whoa, this is an entire world.
Yeah, we've totally done that completely. My inkling of an idea has been completely, worked, and they're already tired of it and moved on.
What do you mean this happened 5 years ago? Thought I had something there.
They gave up on the whole idea 5 years ago. Way dead.
Done. They had their run for like 4 years. And it's
over with. It's like a fork in it a while back. Yeah, I don't know what I have here. I could send you this web page of. I've got this.
Send it. So I'll show it on the
Celio site.
That's what I was showing you. I'm way ahead of you already. I was showing that Celio site on the stream already.
Yeah, I've got this Celio web page that they still use.
What is Celio?
But I have no idea. We had an account with them a long time ago. Our school did, and then we gave up on it because it was way too expensive, and weren't really getting much out of it. They still use my website because I kind of developed a nice website, and they use it as their gallery. Probably still in their gallery still. No, it's probably too old. They probably kicked us out because we. You have to send me my Celio site back. My own link.
Oh, the link.
Yeah. My Celio site, but it has some of my sculptures in there.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll put it in the chat.
There it is. Go to my featured photos. I got a bunch of paintings in my featured photos. My Facebook page.
Is that going to show up on the YouTube chat too?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you so you can put it on the chat because YouTube.
Okay, cool.
The links. It's being mean to me.
Jack, you cannot say old to me. I'll tell you a story. About being old. The things that really make my day, make me feel good about being a teacher. All right, so. Great, thanks. So there are couple students, these two women who are just brilliant. Melody Pola, she was in the visual effects department, then she switched over to design, and I was like, I want to hate her, but she's so good at both. She does both now. She's learning design and still learning animation on her own because she's way ahead.
One of those.
And so then when she went over and she hooked up with a friend of hers who's also amazing, Emma Gautier. So they're getting together and doing this project, this film, and working on the design for it. And the film department student, Ellis, I think her name, and she's a writer and director. And so here comes Melody. She walks into my office kind of meekly and says, I was wondering if you could help us. We have a character we're trying to develop for this movie. And it's an old man, and Mike's sitting across from me, my boss, Mike, and I'm sitting, we share an office. He's looking at her like, and we both in our minds thought, well, she's going to ask Chris to help with the model or help rig it or something, something like that. Help with the animation stuff. She looks at you. Yeah, exactly. So she looks and goes, we were wondering if you could model for us, if we could take pictures of you. Old man.
Old guy.
Coffee came out of Mike's nose. He's on this desk, just laughing his ass off. I say, okay, look, it's bad enough you asked me to be your model for your old. Can't you find anybody older in this place? And I realized that all the older people that
there is no.
Oh no, I'm kind of the old fart, aren't I? I said, sure, fine, whatever. Mike, shut up. Stop. Wipe the coffee out of your nose. So I said, you're never going to hear the end of this. Just so you know, you're never going to hear the end of this. But and yes, you can photograph me and do whatever you want. Make me bald. I don't care. So then, just to drive the nail into the coffin, literally and figuratively, Emma walks in and she goes really meekly, goes, I was the one that asked her to ask you because I was really scared about asking you myself. Okay, you're both dead.
You're both dead to me.
You get a B.
I'll be your old man.
You get an A minus. No, not the A minus. No,
just messes up the GPA
so,
just enough.
My Yoda title is now, it's because I'm 300 years old. I can barely move. Except when I have my lightsaber in my hand, I'm fighting the Emperor. Other than that, I'm
the whack 'em
rickety. Yeah.
By the Force. No,
yeah. Hold on.
Keyboard anymore.
Wait a second.
Oh, here we go.
There you go.
He's reaching for something. There it is.
My lightsaber.
There you go.
The Wacom 3 too. I've had this lightsaber forever.
Have you seen the new Wacom stylus? It's supposedly better for 3D artists.
Wait, what?
They gave me a brand new one here. And I have the
new one, Chris.
Intuos. I have the Intuos 5. I picked up I think they gave these things to us. And I got the new one. I like my old one though. I can't stand the 5. I still use my 3.
Pull up the new one. What's the new stylus look like? Is that the new one?
It's
higher. There we go.
I don't know.
Like?
This is the Pro.
His gray one looks like my regular one.
Yeah, the gray one looks like the one I have, but that black one looks different.
Yeah, but let me see if I can find it real quick.
Short too.
Where's Jack?
Jack,
find us a link, Jack. I know you're there. Find us a link.
They call it the Stylus Pro. I think they call it.
Yeah, I think I had this thing when I was teaching with you guys, right?
No, that's the one I have. I use that one at work right now. Got it most faithful. Intuos
3, yeah. I mean, I have the 5 and I like this one better.
I bought that one for like a bunch of money. And then I think a week later or a month later it went on sale or something like that. Really crazy. And they couldn't get it for a cheaper price.
Yeah, and maybe get them on eBay, but if you see them on eBay, just buy a whole handful.
Stylus Pro? I don't see it.
Yeah, Stylus Pro. That's one this is. I don't know. It's a couple years old though.
This is just
nerdy talk right here.
Wacom just came out with one last month, maybe.
The fancy case too. Yeah.
2 months ago. Do you actually? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to save that for a different part of the show. Where are we at? 10:30. We're good.
We're doing good.
I'm going to continue to look for that, but I wanted to find out, Chris, were you always super obnoxiously creative and good at kind of everything?
Nice.
In my head, I am completely super obnoxiously fighting with the media all the time. It's a constant struggle to come up with anything worthwhile, but you keep doing it even though it hurts, and I can't think of anything to do, so I'll just do. I got to do something. You got to paint something. So those everyday things that I've been doing for a while, which I put on hold while I'm going to class, I'm going to pick back up again. Just every day do something. That's really helped. That kind of push when we went to grad school, just every day, just do something. But after a while, you'd paint everything around you. So you had to sort of paint things from your head. After a while, you'd sort of like paint things that don't really exist. I started cubism and even abstract expressionism and full abstraction, then going back to surrealism and trying to find my way around what was really me, what was my identifying, the grad school experience was really great because the teachers say, okay, you're really good at that drawing that. Now don't do that anymore. You're not good at it all, or do something completely
always
exploratory.
Yeah.
There's a drawing back here of a friend of mine. His name is Dave Hoganson. And he sort of did the same thing. He just sort of like just throw images up there and see what kind of sticks and what kind of unfolds. You could do my aunt used to call it a moose in the meadow painting, like stuff that was sold to the tourists. It would be successful painting, like everybody loves a good mountain painting with some forest stream and blah 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 going on. But that's been done. I mean, everything's been done. What's the new thing? So I did that for a long time, and then I realized it was sort of a dead end because everybody's trying to do the new thing, until you have a giant shark in a big glass case and formaldehyde, and that's your showpiece. I realized that just going back to the traditional stuff, and going back to exploring, just drawing things around you, it still hasn't really. There's no dead end yet. I don't think anybody's reached the end of that, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but artists that really inspire me, the classics like John Singer Sargent. I mean, he could hold a brush and paint things in a way that would take me the rest of my life to be that good, but I'd be copying exactly what he's doing. So I see drawing and exploring as just a way to keep making marks and keep experiencing life around me, and seeing, just like recording what I'm seeing and recording what's in my mind, and just recording as a habit. Is the way to do it. No, don't judge ahead of time what you're doing, but always try to get better and better and learn. Do it and then say, well, how can I do the next one better?
Yeah.
And that's a long answer to some.
No, not at all.
Great.
I think it brings clarity to something that we talk about quite a bit, where if you're getting really good at drawing this one thing, draw something else. We've had folks on the show that say, I want to draw this one thing and I want to be known for this one thing. And if that's your objective, then knock yourself out. But what's going to happen if people don't want that one thing?
Right, or if that one thing is sort of the only thing you
say.
You're experiencing that one thing. So you like macaroni and cheese, so you eat that one thing all your life, but you are missing out on camembert and stinky cheese and steak and squid and pancreas. You're missing out on a lot of stuff that you've never experienced. A guy like John Singer Sargent, I love him because he could instead of doing the mountain, he would just do a section of a mountain. Here's a landslide. Here's some rocks that fell down. Here's the sunlight hitting those rocks, and so his art was about sunlight. It was about light.
Sure.
And he was painting light. When that light hit, he painted it.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. He paints lights and shadows. So whatever that light and shadow hits, that's your subject matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a garbage can. Just paint how the light hits the garbage can, reflects off the surface of the garbage can, and make an interesting composition out of that. That's, to me, that's more important. Like I was here. I looked at this thing and I drew that. It was me and that thing and the paint. It's just that these three things. It's all that matters right now.
Yeah.
Could be a war going on. It's like Cezanne with those apples. Just paint those apples. Doesn't matter what's going on. You can paint the apple the same way you paint a face. You paint this microphone, or your hands. You can paint like Albert Durer's hands would be a subject matter, because the hands can change infinite ways depending on the mood of the person. And Egon Schiele was a great artist for hands. Those things were always twisted and contorted and just contorted, and on the life of the body was just always displayed in those hands.
And that's what what I think is really cool about Instagram is that you can use that as almost like your own little museum piece. And I see this happening a lot where someone does a hand study and they draw a hand in different positions and they post it up. Not only is that serving you as a wonderful exercise, but it's giving all of us the opportunity to take a look at what you did, and then we can either copy or build off of that. So whether it's a hand study, an apple study, whatever that case may be. Mm-hmm. And now you're starting to see the meaning to the madness behind the fun prompts is, we're giving you something new to draw, because for one, I've never drawn a witch house.
Right.
Barely ever drawn a witch.
What is that? What image comes in your head? And what happens in your mind when you hear witch house? Oh, that's something I've never heard before. I've got to make that up. And so stuff bubbles up from your memory. Stuff bubbles up from all the things you've seen and you've heard and you've read. You've read a book and a story of it, or you've dreamed something. I've had vivid dreams that oftentimes will trigger paintings and sculptures and works of art that I've made.
Yeah, things like that pop in your head. Like, even when you say it, like every time they have the week, I don't draw the front prompts, but I like hearing what the new prompt is each week, because I already have an idea of what that could be made if I had, if I had to make that, or if I had to build that world out, like the witch house. I think of Hansel and Gretel. Mm-hmm. I think of like candy cans and like gingerbread house or something like that, something creepy like that.
But could be Bewitched. It could be the 1960s, mid-century furniture with a cat and mm-hmm. and Darren Stevens and all that stuff happening too. Mm-hmm. I like Pinterest for the same reason. Pinterest, it'll find similar images.
Here we go. Look at Charlie.
Chris, talk about it.
What?
Let's talk about Pinterest. I got control.
Got you.
Yeah, I love Pinterest. Yeah. I don't think people use it enough. Keep speaking. It's great.
I started pinning stuff, and then eventually stuff. The artificial intelligence is great. It'll throw stuff at you like, how about this? I go, that's pretty good too.
And even if you like, one of the things that happens to me, and I really do appreciate this, and whoever Mr. or Miss Pinterest is, you get a virtual high five, because I get excited about. Apparently, I'm very consistent, so I'll like something and I'll go to pin it to a different board, and it says, "Hey, you already have this pin." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
I really like that a lot.
You guys get into using there's new functions in Pinterest now where like you can like highlight over a certain section of the photo, and then it'll find things similar to that. So if I'm looking for architecture of a certain type, like current project I'm working on, I needed like northern England, or northern or was it East Coast, like upper north, like boats and like lakes and stuff like that in that region of the country, and I needed architecture from that. So I find like a lake, like Lake Champlain up there on the East Coast, and then I find images of that. But then in Pinterest, right before you pin it, you can click on it and it makes it bigger. But then inside there, you can draw and highlight around a certain section, and then it will find other stuff like that.
I never used that function. Cool.
Ooh, we're gonna show it.
Man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Definitely try that out.
Really, really, really cool.
Pro tip.
Like tell them my students about digital morgues. You want to build a digital morgue, I collect all these images. But now with Google and smart searches and Pinterest, you don't even need to do that anymore. Just like find something and then explore that kind of imagery, like a concept art. You want to model something, take a piece of concept art. Give the guys some credit. Here's the person who drew this, or woman who drew that. They're from Disney. They're professionals, or some from these high-end studios, Blizzard, and model that thing. And then if you model that thing to that style, and that it matches up pretty nicely. You got that aesthetic, you got that color style, you got that style and feel. You're copying somebody else's style, you're copying somebody else's feel, but that's what masters do. I mean, you learn from the masters by copying other masters. You become a master by copying other masters. I mean, I was at the Prado in Madrid a few years ago, and I was seeing these artists all doing the same one. Tintoretto doing a painting after. Again, my artist, the timeline's totally screwed up, but by Raphael, or vice versa. There's artists that just paint after other artists, and they look close to be perfectly the same, but you can sort of tell the style is starting to vary from that original. Hey, Jack, how's it going?
Okay, so speaking of Jack, he's submitted a question. It says, Chris said something interesting, that he
that's a first.
Struggles that he struggles with the media, and he always feels like he can't find something worthwhile. Here's his question. Of all the projects over the years, there must be, he's charling all over this. Of all the projects over the years, there must be some you think you nailed that are good. What about those that stand out and stand the test of time, or stand the test of your self-criticism?
I think it's probably the ones that. Well, here's the thing. When you're struggling, and your work's sucking. I mean, it's sucking. It's getting terrible. I mean, it's really I'm bombing on every single one. I've done that for a while until I had to hang up the brushes and say, take a break for a while. But if you keep fighting through that, it's going to suck. It's going to suck. You're solving all the problems. You're fixing things. You're looking at stuff. And you have to get away. You're going to make 10,000 bad paintings. You got to get the crap out of the way. You're like, okay, that was sucked. That sucked. And like enjoy making something that really sucked. Like that was terrible. Whew, start laughing at it. Like man, that couldn't be any worse. Then you'll just like, some part of you will just gonna go in. You'll do a good one. It'll just come out like out of nowhere, accidentally. You'll just make this one that's pretty killer, and feel like that was easy, but it wasn't. You had to make all the shitty ones ahead of time.
Right.
There's no shortcut around making the crap. I tell the students too, like just do the crappy stuff and get that out of your system. It's gonna be fine. I want you to fail often and fail as much as possible. And when you do finally make it, it's going to be so easy. And everybody else is going to look at it and go, that's amazing. They're like, yeah, right, totally. I have no idea where that one came out of. And you cherish those pieces. I mean, this mug, for example, this is a lot. The kiln made this one, really. But the glaze is just perfect. The form is like, I've done a bunch of mugs over my course of my life, and it's like the real simple shape. It's like this. It pinches in a little bit right here, and the handle is just about right. It works for pottery as well as it does for paintings and everything else. You got it. That was the right one. But then if you keep doing the same one, like I nailed it, and you keep repeating it, it loses. You can't keep doing that. It's unsustainable. So that's like that first one is the gem that comes out of nowhere. I did the sculpture. I was actually dreaming one night back in DeKalb, and Illinois was like, when I first came from Alaska to Illinois, it was like this culture shock. First of all, because I landed in January, like this is freaking cold. It's Alaska, and it's freezing his ass off. This is really cold. And went to DeKalb, was like, this is really cold, and 100-mile-an-hour winds. But in the spring, then like these tornadoes warnings went off everywhere. So I was like really freaked out about the tornadoes. Part of me was sort of wrenched by the fear of tornadoes, but also the fascination by them too. Like being a storm chaser. This dream where I was in the field, and that fields don't exist in Alaska. You're not in the field. You're either in the ocean or in the mountains, but no fields. So in this field, like it was mucky, mud, and I couldn't run fast enough. But I was being chased by a tornado. I was running toward this house off in the distance. I get closer, and this house is on fire. This whole thing is engulfed in flames, and I'm between a tornado and a house on fire. And Carlos and Jack, how that's kind of like, right?
True story.
So true story. Yeah. So I woke up out of the sound sleep, and I went to my studio, and I had these slabs of clay all made and ready to go, and they were like leather hard. And I just kind of carved them out and stacked them up, and I made this clay house with flames coming out of the top of it, with a little door and a little window, and that was it. I let it dry, I fired it, and I put it in a raku kiln. I put a couple glazes on it, white glaze here, and this raku glaze on top, which came out fiery. Threw it in the kiln, pulled it back out. It was perfect. It got destroyed in my first show. I was showing for a few days and somebody knocked it over. But that was the piece that was my signature master art piece, was like the sketch that I had done so quickly after like bombing for a year and a half. Like nothing was coming out the way I wanted. And after that piece, I made 17 other ones that were sort of similar and kind of in the same theme. But it culminated to that final show. And while I was working on that, I also got my fellowship at the school too. So people were kind of seeing that I was doing some cool stuff. And I felt like I was finally on a roll. I was producing stuff that was getting me, getting myself excited and getting attention. It was not like Joe Siegenthaler's, who was doing this figurative stuff, which I wanted to do, but he was doing it. So I was doing everything non-figurative, very abstract, very surreal, very, very out there, but very different. Everything was a little bit different. And it just took a year and a half of slugging it out and failing and just miserably, horrifyingly play some stuff from your art director there. Just like whatever he says could describe everything that I was doing. Like tap him once. That was about what I was thinking every single day of my life.
Just everything you look at.
And then computers came along and
it feels too designed.
Exactly. 2 months of that. 2 months of ugh. Throw it away.
But at the same time, like in that same argument, you can't continue to do the same thing. How can I say this? You can't, let's say drawing. You can't draw without the intention of getting better.
Right.
You can't sit there and say, okay, that's, drawing 599 and you're just putting lead on a piece of paper you're thinking that you're trying to get those drawings out of the way. You're going to get more comfortable with the pencil, but that doesn't mean that you're getting any better as an artist.
Right.
You have to put the brain power behind fixing the curve of that line, or where do the knuckles fall when you're drawing fingers and stuff like that. You have to put brain power behind those 10,000 hours.
Right. And sometimes you have to draw with even not. Now I figured out all that stuff. I can draw the human figure in charcoal. I got it down pretty well. All right. I can just get better and better and better at that, or I can shift and go try something completely bass backwards and like draw something like Giacometti, where that's not even an issue. You're not even trying to do something that's realistic. You're trying to make something that's evocative of the inner soul of the person, if there is one or not. And Giacometti was like trying to extract what was relevant and trying to remove everything that was irrelevant from the figure until it was nothing. And Jean-Paul Sartre and the existentialists came along and said, "Oh my God, you're like, that's exactly what we're talking about philosophically."
This guy, you need to go back to sleep, dude. Nobody asked you.
Yeah, you can't art direct Giacometti.
Yeah, he's kind of he didn't like that part. He's like, you know what?
He said,
not a fan of Giacometti. Okay, fine.
Not a fan. That's how art directors do to us. They always have somebody better. I could like such and such is worth a little better.
Yeah. But then you can't bounce around and just do everything, to switch different gears and go everywhere and then not settle on some path. You all these things you do should lead you toward a path of something, and it's still struggle. Like who am I? I'm sort of a chameleon in terms of art. I can do so many things, but what should I be doing is now always a big question.
What would you consider that path for you then? What would be the specialty that you can do, that you figure, this is my thing, I can do this really well, but I also have all these other things?
Yeah, I've kind of put my artwork on hold for a while, so while I'm teaching, but I'm trying to get back into it and try to figure that out. I think I need to sort of sit down and kind of do another MFA show, just another show to put it all together in a new way. And I'd like to actually make this, make it sort of a virtual show. Like I'm thinking about these dioramas that I used to make and make them a diorama, but now out of almost clay figures, but the clay figures are animated, moving around. Sort of make a sort of surreal diorama landscape. It's like there's some Chicago artists that I really like. H.C. Westerman. Just really strange and odd characters, like almost like a self-taught folk art pieces that are collected together, but then they sort of tell an odd story. I think you can do a lot of stuff in computer graphics that is like a fake. You can fake wood, you can fake different materials, and then have a machine that comes together and does something. I've been fascinated by the possibility of computers, but it's hard to really explore an idea that you convert into something that's visually intriguing and doesn't give you all the answers. You don't exactly know what you're looking at, but you kind of know, but you're sort of deconstructing reality in some sort of way. It's a little bit of philosophy and art at the same time. That might just be too esoteric. Maybe just sit down, paint grapes.
I don't know though, because I think that's how I feel when I see some of the procedural pieces. When you don't, the really heavy art pieces that you would see digitally. I'm talking digitally pieces that you see where you're like, it's a bunch of blobs, but something makes it feel nice about it, and you don't know what it's going to be because it's procedurally generating and it's different each time. And I've seen some really cool pieces where that is like every time the artist push play, it's something different each time. And then he just lets it grow and then literally shoots a camera through that. And that becomes, the piece. And he's called it proceduralism or whatever he calls it, or gives it an arbitrary name. I think that's kind of cool. You don't quite know what it is. You don't not quite know how to explain what it is, but it's just there, Maybe that's why I'm drawn to those things.
I kind of like dream. I kind of like reading my dreams and sort of seeing what the dreams are producing. Sometimes the dreams just create some imagery, and if you can capture a moment of that, like just take a Kodak snapshot when you wake up, try to recreate what you're dreaming in some way. Just build that feeling you had when you dreamed, and some of the parts of the images you were disconnected, but they're there, and just see what is some sort of an archetypical symbol that resonates with everybody else. I mean, maybe you've dreamed that before, a house with no roof on it. You're lying in bed looking at the stars. The house has no roof. That's burned out, or it's a shell, or the walls are torn down, and kind of something odd, something strange about where you're at, and something kind of evocative about it too. Ed Keenholz is another artist I really like. Really strange, bizarre creations.
Dropping gems this week with the artists.
I know, right?
Go back and listen to the show.
Do you sleep with a notebook right next to you?
I got my little sketch pad, my little Asus drawing tablet. That's really nice. It's like a cheap version of a Surface Pro. It's got a little stylus on there. I'll sometimes go to sleep. I'll kind of fall asleep drawing something. I hardly ever wake up. I usually remember it for a good long time. The image kind of sits in my head for a little while. So I usually try to trance myself and draw.
I've heard of people doing that. Do you do that? Have you ever done that, Carlos, with the sketchbook or the notebook? Do you write down what you just dreamed if you ever woke up or whatever, and for later or whatever?
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, especially when they're really strange. If not just to go back and read what happened, be like, what the hell did I eat? That Taco Bell hit hard last night.
That dream was weird. I knew I was dreaming. Those are the weird ones. You know you're dreaming.
Yeah.
A dream. I'm gonna have to take it all in. Sweet.
That was one time I was working on a web project, and I just didn't know what to do. And that night, I dreamt what the website was supposed to look like. I was like, all right, cool. That was easy. I just needed a nap.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's cool. Really?
Yeah. If you think about it long enough, and then at some point you just kind of wake up and get a good night's sleep and come back to it. Your subconscious does a really nice job of kind of filling in the gaps.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that harkens back to there's a lot of artists that say when they're presented with a challenge, with a project or whatever, the first thing they do is get away from the computer. They unplug.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They get into nature and
they go for a walk, right?
Yep.
Heard a bunch of different things, especially artists that could you bring that up, Carl? Especially artists that actually like work from home. They go out and they'll make it like a morning routine of it, so they'll go for their walk, and if they're not going for their walk, they'll physically go to Starbucks on purpose, or they'll go to a place and they go out on the walk for a certain distance, get something, get their Starbucks, get some food or whatever, have their backpack and their walk, and then they walk back, and to them it feels like they've commuted to work. And they walk back home, and then they take the stuff off, take the coat stuff off, and then they sit down immediately and start working. It's like a weird thing where they get ready, they brush their teeth, they do all the things, and they leave the house, and they walk back, leave the house for 15, 20 minutes, walk back, and it feels like to them, it feels like they've made it back to their studio, and they walk straight to their desk, and like some people do it in the middle of the day, as a recharge.
When I was an art director at years ago, I was art director when I was probably teaching with you guys at this place. I would spend the morning no computer. Every day I would like stay away from the computer. I would just draw all morning. Like no matter how much people were like pestering me and bugging me, like no, I'm solving my problems with pencil and paper. And about 2 hours into it, I get a cup of coffee and I go for a walk. I just literally walk out to the forest preserves, which is about a few blocks away from where I work. Just walk. Come back, draw a little bit more, and after lunch, I would open the computer up and do the work I needed to do. That was my everyday routine. So no computer until I had pretty much laid it all out on paper what I was going to do. Then I was on the computer. It would take me a quarter of the time it would normally take. And
what's the saying? Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah. Or as Dick Dawson used to say, measure with a micrometer, mark with chalk, cut with an axe.
But that's some see, this is what we call you Yoda. I need to figure out how I can do that.
Right.
I'm just gonna draw in the morning. I don't even know how I'd be able to fend off all the people coming to my desk.
Yeah, that's the trick. I was actually department head at AI, but I was at the art director at Dahlstrom for about 13 years. And then the AI asked me to be the chair of the department. So I said, oh, no, that's okay. I don't really want to do that. Good, I'm good part-time. Really? Well, come on. How about this much money? Like, well, I don't know. I can't really afford that. Can't afford to take a pay cut to go do that. And I don't really want to. Finally talked me into it. I told my boss I was going to try this out and see what happens. And he still kept me on a retainer to work for as well. So get me on. And then after a year, I said, I've had enough scheduling, you monkeys. Dogs. Yeah, I'm scheduling you guys, or scheduling teachers, or I'm scheduling rooms, or I'm dealing with people's problems. Okay, I've had enough. I'm going back to my old life and teach part-time, which actually was perfect. But when I went back to because he was asking me to come back, I said, okay, on kind of one condition. I don't manage the other artists. I just do the creative stuff, and then somebody else manages the production of all the stuff. So I'm not in production. I'm just going to make cool stuff. So he said, sounds good. And here's my salary requirement. So we were good for, and I just would start doing that same process. I'd be like, okay, I'm not answering any emails. No, don't ask me any questions. I'm just going to draw. And I got a lot more done. It was a lot more productive.
So what was Dahlstrom? What was their main?
Dahlstrom was Ross Azzetto, who was, if he was an inch taller, he'd be a perfect circle. But the guy would.
Yo.
But the guy ran.
Could have used that.
Yeah, the guy ran the Chicago Marathon at 300 pounds. He literally, like the guy that put Band-Aid over his nose to keep him from bleeding. He's that guy. He had the man boobs, the whole thing. And he and I are still friends. We were good friends. I quit twice, and we're still good buddies. And he's crazy. He's lost his mind, but he is Superman in his mind and in reality. He's just like, we go and do these presentations. He'd say, "Put your cape on because we're going into Superman." I'm like, "I'm Superman, and you can be Robin or whoever you want to be, but we're putting our capes on." Like, "Oh, I can be Batman. Come on." So Superman, I was Batman. I was like the philosopher, the guy trying to figure out how it all works. And he's like, "Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to go in there and bash the door down." And he was the president of the company. I was also the biggest salesperson. So he was my salesman. Like he was my outreach guy. I used him to sell my stuff, and he used me to make stuff to sell. So we had Jewel as our big account. I mean, we were making we made 5-6 trucks for Jewel. I mean, that's 5-6 designs turned out to be like 60 or 70 trucks. We did all the interior design work for Jewel. I mean, just a ton of stuff, and then all these other clients that we had going along, and we did the creative for all that stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of little clients, but Jewel's our big customer. So Dahlstrom has been doing the design work and printing for Jewel since probably the 1970s, early 70s. So, it's that partnership had been there for a long time. And they brought me away from AI when I was teaching full time back in the day. I'm not sure if you guys were around when I was full time teaching. He had me come in and he said, my current art director basically dug himself a hole. He said, he said, "You can either kiss my ass or fire me." So Ross is like, "I'm not going to kiss your ass." So,
or a company.
Yeah, you're fired. Mm-hmm. And he brought me in to replace him, and it's been pretty cool ever since. I mean, and then I had to quit because he was reckless with a lot of things. So for a while, he was really taking care of the business, and then after a while, I could see some sort of recklessness, and also Jewel changed, and we lost Jewel. Like, I got the offer to teach at Flashpoint. I want to go back into teaching, so I went there full time, and we parted ways. But I was there with them for about 20 years.
Wow. How long have you been at Flashpoint Tribeca?
2012 was when I first started teaching there. Maybe 2011, 2012, and then a couple of years just adjunct part-time, and that's turned into a full-time gig. Probably 2014, I think. A couple of years in. Mm-hmm. They kept asking me to be full-time. I kept telling them no. But after a while, I said, "This looks like I'm going to just jump ship here." Mm-hmm. And it was a good time to jump ship. They were growing, and a lot of cool stuff happening that I can't say anything about, so don't even ask me. I really can't say anything about
Don't ask you about what?
About nothing. Don't ask me about it. I'm not going to tell you. I'll literally tell you Monday, perhaps. If they once they tell the students have to know first, then I can say something. But
no, they don't.
They're gonna open a new school on the moon.
On the moon.
The moon.
Yeah. No, it's really, really good. Good news.
Sweet.
And
can't wait.
Hopefully soon I can say. I can't now.
Awesome. Do they give you enough flexibility to continue to work on your own personal projects?
Oh yeah. That's kind of the reason why I'm still there. Next semester I'll be teaching 5 or 6 classes, but it's like 5 or 6 classes that I usually hang out and start teaching stuff, and I'm like, I'll be doing stuff during the class anyway. I love being around students. I like getting more classes. I kept asking for more classes until I had wasn't enough classes. Right now I'm doing online only. I'm not even teaching, so I hang out in other people's classes and show them stuff. I can't stop. So that was, I love it. So
Chris is like, they're gonna ask me a question. Can't wait. Boom. Oh, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you.
Model for you, being an old man. Okay. All right. Get off my lawn.
Tell your teacher, sit down. I'm gonna show a couple.
Sit down.
45 minutes.
Slap you on the knuckles with a ruler.
I used to poly model back in my
Chris
day.
is that creepy kid in the corner. Just clicking away. There's smoke coming out of his computer.
Let me teach you about NURBs. Let me teach you how to NURB model.
He's the kid. Yeah, he's the kid that would raise his hand like this and hold his hand up.
Yes, Chris, we see you.
Charlie, you weren't back there then. How would you know? That was really true.
What was it? Back when I was in it was probably, I don't know if it was my last year, probably. I'm not gonna say his name.
Mm-hmm.
But once we close down the show, I'll let you guys know who this was. But this is when box modeling started becoming a thing.
Yeah,
boxes.
And I was in a room, and someone came running in and was like, Carlos, come here. We need your help. So I walked in. I was like, what's going on? They're like, we're trying to model a carrot. I was like, well, why don't you just do a spline like this and then lathe it?
Yeah.
They're like, that's what we wanted to do, but this kid is telling us to box model a carrot. I was like, you're box modeling a carrot? Come on.
Well, you'd avoid the high valence points at the tops and the bottom.
Nice.
Might be some advantage to
saying.
Fast forward.
Right. You remember
that carrot was right.
I forgot the kid.
Throw that SLD on there.
Even before you guys were even there, but he was the first guy that got Maya. He had an internship where they actually had Maya. So like Maya version 1. It was just all NURBs, of course. And he had a shirt on that had polygons with a circle and a line through it. I forget the other guy that walked up to me.
So confrontational.
What did polygons ever do to you? I think the nerdiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yo, it's such a confrontational, nerdy shirt to wear.
Yeah, that nerdy ass shirt
to a modeling class.
No polygons.
So good.
I'm posting up here for NURBs, all my NURBs friends, my fellow NURBs.
Those NURBs.
So
I think that's a good time to go ahead and do a little this or that.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
That.
Jack, we miss you.
You know what I want Jack to do right now? I wish he would just start typing the lyrics in chat.
Could you imagine?
If he just give the chat just fills with this or that, or that.
Give him about 15 seconds. There's a delay. Might happen. Chris Tedin.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching or learning?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'd say learning, because I think you can't teach without learning, and when you're teaching, you're still learning too. So I'd say learning is a community. Mm-hmm. Teaching is just me standing up and saying, "Here's what you need to know how to do." I think learning has to happen on both sides. I got to learn who you are.
I think you're right.
To teach you anything good, like who. Teach me tell me what you know, and then, learning.
Good answer.
Oh, yeah. We're doing the NPR voices here.
Yeah, this is how I want you to do the rest of this or that. Next question, Carlos.
Welcome to Fresh Breeze. That's the name of the show. It's not Sketch Zone anymore. It's Fresh Breeze.
Yo, sounds like
it's NPR. That everything is named that. You know.
This is late night. We're now inside your head. So if you're half asleep right now, you're gonna think, "What the hell?"
Thank you for tuning into Well-Oiled Wheel.
Yo, Jack, we're totally off the rails. Yo, I need you to come back and stop running away from fires. Because I can't control.
I don't know how to what the proper terminology is, but I'm going to say it, and I hope it makes sense.
Here we go.
CG art or textual? Like actually having like
Tactile?
tactile. Is that what I'm asking?
Plastic.
Yes. Yes.
CG or wow.
I gotta give it to you, Carl. These are pretty good ones.
I have to make a choice here.
Yes.
What would you rather be in Mudbox or playing with clay? By the way, Mudbox, I understand Mudbox is making a strong comeback.
It is. It's actually pretty cool. I'm giving my props to Mudbox these days.
Speak on it right now.
Yeah, I would have to say with the upcoming dystopian future, there'll always be mud. So I have to stick with the tactile, physical, analog art. If you had to make me choose, but I don't like to.
Okay.
I like that answer.
I'm keeping both.
If you were to work, since you work with film students, animation or live action?
I think I'm probably more attracted to animation just because I have more control. I'm a kind of a control freak. Like I want to just make things out, So if I can make something, I can animate it. I can do whatever I want with it. So it's like my little puppet. And I think I like puppetry, and actors they're for me to work with. They bring their own.
That's why. If you ever watch Carlos's cartoon karaoke, that's why I do it, because it's easy to control the cartoons.
Exactly.
It's not easy to control the Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos is not controllable. Is that
no? I'm not completely. So this is going to go back to the welcome Stylus.
Hold on, welcome Stylus here. Welcome
to Smooth Stylus.
Like it. My ear.
You look all studious now. Yeah. I like it.
Say your question.
Let's talk nibs. Are you a felt guy or are you the traditional plastic guy?
I think I like plastic. I've got the felt version and hardly ever use it. This all has plastic in them anyway. It acts like a pencil.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't get in my way. I don't think about it that much. It just I'm kind of looking at the screen anyway with my hands. It senses the pressure pretty well. But I do have the brush version. But I don't know. I hardly ever use it. So I guess I'd have to go plastic.
It's a brush tip that you can.
It's a separate. It's the brush one with a felt like an angle.
Yeah.
It's an angle like a brush edge, like calligrapher edge.
Yeah.
It's like a felt. It holds a whole like a wide felt edge. I have no idea where it went. I think it must have.
Interesting.
I've
been wanting to test the felt and the regular plastic and all that stuff. I look at it. I've added it to my cart a couple times and I've taken it right back off.
Yeah. Whatever's there, I just use it. I don't care. Yeah. It acts like a pencil. Yeah. I don't really use soft brushes either. I tend to paint with either really stiff synthetic for watercolor or just pure like hog hair bristle. Just cheap. I kind of like the crappy cheap brushes. Leaves more of a kind of a nasty, ratty mark, which I like.
He uses rat hair brushes instead of mink.
No, those are too fine. I actually bought Klinsky Sable when I was a kid. Terrible investment. I ruined them all.
Nice.
All right. Unreal or Unity?
I think I'm sticking with Unreal because I've used it since Unreal version 1 and I'm more familiar with it. And I can just get some stuff done without having to do a lot of coding. Although I don't do a lot of, I haven't built a trigger since years and years ago. And I like the rendering of Unreal right now. I think Unity's catching up. It always catches up. But the material editor in Unreal is much better. You can just, the node-based material editor is easier to work with. And I find the Unity version a little bit more cumbersome. If I were doing different kinds of games, though, like a variety of different kind of games, I'd probably prefer Unity. I think they're both great. There's no, just for me personally, I don't do like top-down side scroller flat stuff. That I think Unity's brilliant in that regard. I'm just trying to get a virtual space and look at my stuff and get out there quick. And the lighting's easy. Unity's like easier to find what you're looking for. Unreal's like you open up a parameter panel, it's like, oh, scroll, unroll. Where the hell am I looking for that thing? Yeah. Just trying to find your lens focal point where that's at. It was like, I know it's in here somewhere. God almighty. I keep moving stuff. But it's really, really deep. The stuff I haven't even explored in Unreal. So it's like, that's my least I'm least knowledgeable in either of those game engines, honestly. But I'm diving back into it.
Nice. All right, last one. This is going to be tough. I hold it up so I can look into the camera when I ask you. Chris Tedin, Tribeca Flashpoint, David Copperfield or Houdini?
Good.
Houdini, definitely. First of all, the Houdini name. I'm wearing the shirt. And he's a badass.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I tickled myself.
He takes me anywhere.
You're so serious. I thought you were going to ask me to marry you.
No, I was building it up because usually I get talked about after one of those.
Yep. I'm trying to process what you just did. Can't stand you.
Oh man, I enjoy myself so much.
That's an inside joke. Should I know something about David Copperfield?
No, it's just
you guys spent so much time talking about Houdini.
He wrote that Brian earlier, and just like, I can't wait for this or that.
I've been laughing this whole time.
I'm gonna do a Houdini joke because I'm clever. No, he's always doing it with this or that. He thinks he's like amazing, and we don't have Jack to be like, really.
You guys are nerdy.
Jack, yeah.
Jack roll like, back.
I know I've gone too far when Jack goes, okay.
Enough.
Jack's the great equalizer. I hear right now.
Oh man, I cracked myself up.
I'm sending this post over to my friends at Side Effects so they can actually, see how much we talk about Houdini because I get more points. I get more swag if we talk about it. I get more shirts.
So if anyone
come on over.
If anyone is working on a Houdini competitor, I will be your marketing lead. We're gonna name that bad boy Copperfield. I think we're on to something.
Copperfield. That sounds like a program, though, if you think about it.
Copperfield.
You know what? You might need to save that for just in general.
Like the marketing, the packaging alone. Just
Copperfield. Can you imagine?
Yeah. The overlay is
Thank you for listening to NPR. You're listening to Copperfield. Warm breeze.
Yo, let's make a program. Call it Copperfield. I'm
telling you. Yeah. You guys are making fun of me 30 seconds ago.
Well, the program part is
Tina. Shoot nothing but fire, son. Nothing but fire.
Copperfield.
A spin-off program called Brass and
right?
Patina.
Plugins.
What's
Brass
for it?
What's the
bronze?
Did you get silver? Did you get nickel?
That's the different. Yeah, that's the different membership packages.
Tungsten. Oh, you gotta check out the tungsten particle system.
That's exactly what you need.
Yo, let's do that.
What's the
do a whole brand treatment
It's a nodule. It's a nodule-based
You know what?
system.
We can totally build a box and use that Adobe 3D package to real quick mock something up.
Yo,
Totally.
the whole treatment right now.
I'm building it right now.
I can see it in my head.
Stand back side effects.
3D generalists are like pissed because
You see what happens?
We're gonna make
It's
tens
like-
of dollars in this
like
before we're sued.
it's too expensive.
Got to end up being give away the code.
You get everybody
Right.
for like 2 years. Everybody's starting to use it. Then all of a sudden, you start doing like previews of platinum.
What's the
Excuse me.
Alchemist? That'll be the code. The code will be
This is
called
the coding
Alchemist.
language.
Huh?
Yes, it's the coding language for Copperfield. No, we just do a campaign and have people thinking this is a program. And just start doing teasers. Let's just start dropping. You use that Copperfield program yet?
Yeah, people are gonna be like, "Yo, when's Copperfield coming out?"
Freshmen everywhere are like searching for Copperfield on Google.
We can start a Copperfield user group.
Yeah.
Call it Gold Nuggets.
Sam, and then you have fake meetups, right? And you post them up, and you're like fake invites for meetups. We're gonna be exploring, the many facets of alchemy.
It's so good.
For this meetup.
It's so good.
Using the industry standard tool Copperfield.
And our giveaway free software called Zinc.
Zinc, yes. It's the trial. It's the trial. It's the
Check
trial.
out Zinc.
30-day trial.
Version is called the aluminum foil.
30 days. And you put in your license, it changes to Copperfield.
Oh my god.
Yo, where is Jack when
Yeah, Jack would be hitting the cricket
Jack-
button right now.
No, Jack will come up with one other like random metal that would sound amazing.
All right.
Perfection.
I think at this point we're talking to ourselves at this point. I think even Jack went to bed.
Right.
Jack is there.
No, he's there.
Is there? Okay, cool.
He's gonna mention Copperfield later. Watch, really.
Yeah. Until then, let me go ahead and share my screen because it's time for artist inspiration. You're the inspiration. We really
Meet her on Jack's
All right. So this week, this is a French illustrator.
What's his name?
Bibone?
Christophe. Let's call him Christophe.
There you go. That guy. I was rifling through his portfolio.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I jumped onto his Instagram and it's just as fascinating. Yeah. 2D artist that makes it look 3D. I'm cycling through his stuff super fast, but it's kind of a long Instagram name.
Well, his website too. His website.
Yeah.
Bibone.com.
But yeah, if you go to BIBOUN.com, you'll see what we're talking about. My man is slaying these pixels.
Yeah, that's good.
Little elephant, rhinoceros.
They're all
Could be a game cover.
They're mini elephants.
Cool.
Check that out. He's got some dope drop shadows. Just kidding.
He's got some dope drop shadows.
Yet. He just rocked the hell out of that.
Cool style.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah. Dude is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
For
sure.
I especially like this style. I can't remember. It's very close to Shiloh's style, as well as there was someone that I believe it was Jack that used as his inspiration once. I can't remember the dude's name starts with a F, like Fitz something or other. I forget his name. But then he'll drop in a mech. Buy him. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really dig this guy's work. So take a look. Draws horses. You know how hard it is to draw a horse? So yeah, take a look. Biboun. And his Instagram is instagram.com/Biabon_Fassard_Christophe.
Christophe.
Yeah. So handle that. That dude is kind of magical.
He's good.
Charles, would you like to share?
I would like to share. I'm going to share my application window. Okay. My artist's name is Magdalena Radzia. She's Warsaw, Poland. That's where she's from.
All right.
And yeah, let's check out some of her work. It's really cool. We're gonna quickly scroll through it, and then we're going to.
You have to give a shout out to my Polish, my peeps.
There we go.
Yeah, Polish folks be rocking this art thing.
Yeah.
I love her style though.
Have you ever been to Poland?
No, my brother did, but have yet you have to make it out there. I'd like to definitely check
I'd
it
like
out.
to know what the hell they're serving for dinner out there, because it seems like that's one thing that they export very well is art.
Yeah, the 3D animation is Baginski. Those guys are insane. Remember the old cathedral? That piece? The cathedral?
Mm-hmm. Love this one.
Is that 3D or
This is all.
is she crushing Photoshop?
Yeah, he's crushing Photoshop.
What in the actual? Wow.
Your screen keeps popping away when we talk.
Just click on Charlie's box.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, Magdalena's got skills. Good job, good on you.
Oh, look at that mirror one, where it's like a picture within a picture within a picture. Reminds me of my selfie T-shirt.
Which one?
That one right there.
This
Speaking
one.
of
Yeah.
Magdalena, one of my favorite sculptors is Magdalena Abakanowicz. She just died recently, but she has this great sculptures out in front of in Chicago, out by Grant Park, South Loop area. These figures all kind of lined up. The figures backs, really nice.
I love the city.
She does environments too.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
Yo.
Magdalena. Got it.
Be killing this inspiration thing.
Whoa.
I love that one. It's like some distant planet.
Yeah, that one's.
These are really good concept art ones. These are like great ones. If she works at a studio, you get this. If you're environment artist, you don't got to think about anything.
Nope.
What you think about next is okay. Cool. I need about 3 albums this week. Listen to. You just put music on, and I don't have to do anything. I just gotta create. It's nice. There's things there. There's like, and for all these guys that want to be concept artists and stuff like that, like check out her work, because like there's so much detail here. Like you could pass this image off if this is like a level or something or a scene. I don't have to think about anything as an environment, dude. I love this type of stuff because everything's already laid out. So I can just focus on modeling and make it look amazing. And then the sourcing of all your textures and all your texture work and stuff like that. You know this is marble because she painted it to look like marble. You know what that is. You know this is going to be some really cool red carpet, plush, rich, burgundy or whatever with the gold flaked accent trim around the whole thing. You know, you have lighting cues that are already done for you. So you kind of know what the lighting needs to look like, you know, and then she gives you different versions, different sections. Let's say this is like, I don't know, Assassin's Creed or one of those crazy games that are like narrative in nature where like this whole level has the same theme throughout, you know? And see, this is from Shadow Warrior 2. It is a level, actually. This is a concept art for the Yakuza Mansion level. So, like she just goes from section to section. And each time you like, as an environment artist too, you're building out like libraries. So this like red carpet stuff would have to be like throughout, you know, so you know you need that. You know, this marble stuff is throughout. Gold flakes on everything is throughout. Like, just makes it easier. Color code, color schemes are there. Look at that. Then she does breakdowns, right? So that's cool. So she's doing little vignette, little sections of the environment and giving you a little bit more information on what you need to model. Because you know how some concept art is very gestural. You zoom in on that shit in Photoshop and you're like, it's a brush stroke. What is that supposed to be? Is that a car? Is that a bush? You know, so I love when they do these breakdowns, and I want more students to do these things. When I'm looking for like even generalists or even motion designers, and you know, I love to see your process, right? So anytime you can make little notes to yourself and stuff like this, I think it shows a lot, you know, when doing stuff. So I love when I see concept artists do this, you know. It's like very meticulous. Look at this, all the way down to just like the symboling, you know. And then look, she's given like perspective views of these things too. Look at this stuff. Different versions of it, you know, with and without like flags and stuff. Like, look at this. Like, if you want to be a concept art, you know, especially working in game and stuff like that, this is the level of detail that you need to be able to draw, you know. It's not just, you know, most people stop at this first page, this first image. Cool. Here's your level. Here's the idea I have. But, you know, an art director or whatever, or your lead's going to be like, okay, cool. Now we need the different sections of the level, different wings. And now we need you to do a treatment over all the different props. It's cool. So like Chris was saying earlier in the show, you know, learn from the masters, learn from the people who've done it already. So if you're going to be a concept artist, why not look through Artisan and all these pages to figure out how they're laying out stuff, and also how they're like, you know, presenting their work.
Right.
There's another guy that I'm going to post next week because he just presents his work way better than anyone I've ever seen. I mean, this dude is like, well, he works for Ubisoft, and we'll see him next week, and I won't give away the name, but like the level of preparation in his websites is amazing. You know,
everyone's going to ArtStation to do a search for Ubisoft.
Yeah, that's not gonna help. It's gonna find you a bunch of cool artists, but you don't know who this one is. But no, it's cool. Like Carlos, he goes in and he's finding like, I think he's like an art director type, or he's in UI in like visual development. He's a visual development artist for them. So like he's going the extra step of like finding articles about the stuff that he's done in these games, and he puts that in his portfolio too. So when you look at his whole page for like one game that he's done or whatever, he's pulling. It's almost like somebody from like Time Magazine wrote an article about this portfolio section of his website. God. You know, of like he's pulling out excerpts from the game and like comments from different web publications and stuff, and it just gives you the whole story about what he made for that. And that's just one project. He does it for every project.
That's amazing.
So yeah, so stay tuned for next week for that one, the inspiration. But cool, Magdalena is amazing. Check her out. She has too much work to show here. Look at that.
I'm going through the site too. Actually, I've got
right.
2 screens up, and I'm going through her other stuff. Yeah,
It's like just a bunch of stuff there.
And the bones of it, not just the detail, but it's laid out on really good, solid foundations. Everything she draws the human figure, it's based on the fact that I've drawn this. I've drawn from a human form. I've gone to figure drawing classes or sessions, and I've sat there drawn this, human form 1,000 times. It's not just I'm drawing from somebody else's stuff. I'm drawing from life every single time.
Yeah, I love all her women stuff. Like all her, look at this. Like it just gets crazy sci-fi. Oh, this is the paint over. This is the paint over. So this is what concept artists do sometimes too. They take the original model and they paint over it, do a whole piece and pass it off and say, yo, this is kind of what we want this to look like.
That's a really cool exercise either way. If you have a model.
There it is. So you got the final piece. Boom. And a lot of concept artists do this right now, and it's really big in film too. They're taking DAS models or poser models or virtual scans and stuff, because a lot of that stuff is moving digital. Even like we talked about last week with matte painting and stuff, and how that's all digital now. Concepting for film and stuff like that, it's all about turnaround time and how fast you can get the director what you want them to understand. So most of these guys still are painters, though. They still can paint digitally, but this is a way to get things out really good, because you can tell she can paint.
3D model. Right? 3D model in Maya, let it real quick, and then just take it in Photoshop and finish it up in Photoshop. Because
we just showed you all this other work, so don't think because she's doing this, she's just taking a cheat or a shortcut. We showed you 15 to 30 other images where she's going in and meticulously, filling this out. But this is cool. I like her stuff.
It's crazy.
It's a lot of different stuff too, though. That's a cool one. Almost like a photo. All right. Yep, that's Magdalena. Really cool.
Nice.
Check her out. Ooh, look at that one. My favorite.
That's nice.
It's a model. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. It's cool.
Killing it. Good job, Magdalena.
Guess what she said? Testing ZBrush. Yeah, it's fun. Shut up.
How dare you?
Just trying it out.
How dare you?
Trying out ZBrush.
Goofing around.
Just getting my feet wet.
Sorry. I haven't figured this out yet.
Yeah, I haven't figured this out quite yet. But I'm working through it. Sorry, it sucks. I didn't finish the arms.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Magdalena, great job.
Ooh, cool.
You're amazing.
Chris, do you want to share your screen? I have it up.
Sure.
I have your link up.
Cool. With that Mark Bam, sure. I'll throw it in screen share.
I'm going to grab it too and put it up on.
This works. My screen flashes a few times. It takes me a second. Okay. Let's see. Oh, standby. This is a standby. I wasn't really.
Damn, that picture of Charlie looks real.
Yeah. One of my favorite guys is Mark Bame. He's actually an animator too. This guy can do everything. But his concept work,
damn,
is really cool. And his sense of, because he's an animator, his sense of the pose, the character's pose is really, really nice. This is all either done in Photoshop or Painter.
Damn.
Or just oil paint sometimes. And this is the stuff from Valve. He actually working on Valve right now. Of course he is. Just a nut. I mean, his forms are really crazy and wonderful, and they explode sometimes. You get a little excited. I like the way he just takes one color, like grays. Like I said before, like my old teacher from junior high, like gray can have this beauty about it. It's not just gray; it's greenish gray and reddish gray, and and desaturated. These things seem very intense, but if you sample this, it's actually like 50% saturation. It's a very desaturated color. So when it does pop. You know, the colors do sing, but they're very toned down. And he just says it's mastery of subtlety and kind of harmonious color scheme. So he does a little bit of ZBrush sculpts too as well, and he kind of paints on top of those.
He's taking it for a test drive.
Yeah. This guy's taking this. He turned this thing around the block a few times. They're just really wonderful, crazy ass characters.
So cool.
I think it's probably a infestation. His characters are always really well designed. As far as their poses, just real strong line of action. There's all his new stuff. I wish I could get some of his old concept art from his old web pages. If I could zoom in on any of these guys. Really relaxed and flowing. A lot of great movement.
This is cool.
Nice little style. It's beautiful. Everything he does, like it's not about the thing that he draws. He can draw anything equally well. It doesn't really matter. It's the light and the atmosphere all working together to make a great composition. And kind of, you know, packing everything in the corner and having this real open space. So the combination of that, real tight integration of the forms, then almost like a Degas used to do this kind of stuff, like pack all the characters together and stack them all one on top of the other, versus like laying them out, you know, evenly across the page. Like, no, just jam them all together in the corner. It still works.
Just for kicks. Just for kicks. Yeah, click that. Boom.
Illustration.
Look at number 2. Oh.
That's me in a few years. If I ever move back to Alaska, that's going
Oh man.
hanging out on the muskeg.
Gonna let the locks flow. That's my family at Thanksgiving.
That's family party. Eating your uncle. I guess
Uncle Gary.
Come out and say hi.
The guy comes out to hi. Cool. This guy's great work.
Dude,
I love this like power.
Oh, wow.
Line of action. This is like animators need to study. I told my animators study this for line of action.
Even his, like coloring is really good on something like that. And the dude's outfit is like burgundy. Yes.
I should have my brother. That should have been my inspiration.
Yeah.
No, too late. Not just kidding.
Yeah. He's just fun. He just makes me laugh. Contact him if you want. That's it.
Very nice.
If you just look at Mark Bam on Google search too, you can come up with my favorite pose he did is of Spider-Man.
And if you're listening on iTunes, obviously we're going to have this on in the show notes. But if you do a search for Mark Behm, Behm,
like his beautiful composition.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
love that picture.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
also the Flash. Run cycle. If you do a run cycle like this, you get extra credit. Oh damn!
That's cool.
Just that pose is insane.
Mhm.
No one kills me. Mark Bame. You're welcome. Enjoy. And just this, I love this one composition. The overall composition is just beautiful.
Cool.
And the use of negative space here between the characters. And this foreground character, this dragon, just kind of looping back, and the circular composition, just the way it's composed, is
I was
gorgeous.
looking at the girl in the center, and I didn't even realize the dragon I didn't realize
Yeah.
what they were on until you said it, and your eye pulls back.
Look at how the light is coming through its wing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And most of his characters are off the screen. You only see him because
Yeah.
you kind of notice him only because he's half revealed, but he dominates the scene, but you don't even notice him. He's like he's a negative space here, but he's also a positive shape in front of this negative space. And his tiny little wing over there is really funny. He's a master of proportions, like just exaggerated proportions. Cool, Mark Bain. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Good thing. Let me stop sharing.
With that, Chris, if people are trying to find you online, where can they find you?
You can actually search me out on my website, but I should probably tweet out at some point via Twitter. Just can't think of anything to say. I will say most everything on Facebook, but LinkedIn. Yeah, search for me on LinkedIn. Probably the best way to do it.
What's your LinkedIn?
If you're in business, yeah, just Chris Tedin. If you search for me, there's only one Chris Tedin that I know of. There are very few of us. You search at Tedin, you're going to come out either across me or my brother Mark. If you Google search, you're going to find my brother Mark. But for the most part, yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Chris is on LinkedIn chat too. A few. We will reply to you.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you.
It's always fun catching up with you, seeing what you're up to.
Sorry it took me so long to be on here, but kind of fun.
All good. Never too late.
Nope.
Well, it could be, but you're still alive, so we're good.
Next time Jack will be online, I can chat with him. Sorry, he was recovering from chaos in California.
I know. Did you see that video where the people were driving on the highway?
On the 405? Yeah.
Rolling
And the hill was just a solid blanket of flames.
It was just a scene from hell. It was like it was Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, that looked fake.
Nuts.
At first, I was like,
Sauron.
And that's and that's Carlos saying this. Carlos being, having lived through all this crap.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, at first I thought it was like some special effects, somebody trying to be funny. I'm like, come on, like that's tasteless. We just finished doing that over here. And then I saw that video on the news. I was like, oh, that's real.
Holy crap.
I remember though when we were in California and I can't say it would be for SIGGRAPH, and you took me on that 405 because you're like, it's all hilly here, and we were talking about going to whatever smaller city around that. I forget which one, but like, so to feel like the lady was saying in the video, like you could feel the heat, like you put your hand out the window, as you're driving,
I drove down that thing
in like right there.
August. Yeah, that was
like it's like far away.
Crazy.
It's right next to you. It's like a canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Nuts.
Hey, where can people find you, Charlie?
So you can find me in a bunch of different places, but you find me on my website, which is cargocollective.com/CharlieB.Williams. You can find me on Twitter, CBW3, Instagram, CharlieBW3, Almighty Pinterest, CharlieBW3. Get that in your life.
Excellent.
That Facebook, yep, Charlie B.
Thank you, sir. And we keep talking about this guy, Jack. If you're looking for Jack, you can find him sketchbookjack.com and sketchbookjack everywhere else. I'm Carlos. You can find me at basically coconutjustice.com and Coconut Justice everywhere else. Actually, Coconut Justice is going to bounce you over to my YouTube channel. So if you get bounced over there, go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to do a lot more content like Carlos's cartoon karaoke.
There it is.
And this has been Sketch Zone. You can find us at sketch.zone and pretty much Sketch Zone or Sketch Zone podcast everywhere else like Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud. If you're looking to listen to us on your devices, We are on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, and of course, iTunes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and make sure that you hit that subscribe button. So then that way you'll be alerted every time we come out with new content, like a conversation with Chris Tedin. Yeah, I think that's it. We should have Jack back next week if he's done with all his drama.
Yeah, knock it off. No more drama.
Yeah, another one. He could have very easily have taken a picture of his backyard and be like, "Well, that escalated quickly."
Yes. Once again, like
Not enough going on in my life. I gotta
Right?
wrap it up one more Hollywood style.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. I mean, yeah, I can because I can drive 5 minutes away.
You were right there. Of course, you can imagine.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Maybe
it's a horrible scene. Anyway,
finish out the year. We're getting closer to the end of the year.
yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. So that's pretty much it for us, y'all. Have a wonderful week.
all right. See you guys.
See you guys.